All right, we should be live. Let me just do an audio test really quick. Audio test. Okay, looks good. We're good to go. We're good to Gucci, as the kids say these days. Howdy, howdy, everybody. Welcome, welcome. Hope everybody's having a good day. Howdy, howdy. Hope everybody's having a good way. Let's you are a kid. I am a kid? I'm not a kid. Impossible. All right. Someone who knows what they're doing. Someone who knows what they're doing, please explain to me how to do the community gift on TikTok Studio. How does one do this? If I go to live goal, this is like a live goal. But is that, look, I understand that it says you can find it by tapping ... live gifts. Okay, here's the issue. That's only on the app. Like that's on the app. That's not in the on the computer software. So that doesn't help me. It doesn't help me. How do I do it? What is a community gift? Why are we just do it on your phone? I can't do it on my phone because I'm not streaming from my phone. How do you do it? Is it under fan club, maybe? I haven't tried to do it on my phone because I don't stream from my phone. So I can't access the stream from my phone. All right, we'll figure it out eventually. We'll figure it out. I haven't yet. Oh, well, we don't have any guests, so I can spend more time trying to figure it out. Just do it. Yeah, I know. I'm trying. I don't know how. It's like that one guy who it's like, do you even know how to drive? And the guy's like, no, I don't know how to drive. All right, we have our first guest. Let's rather than goofing off, let's bring up our first guest. I think that we've spoken with this fellow before.
Hello.
Howdy. I don't know how to pronounce your name. What should I call you?
Call me Nasser.
Call you one more time? What?
Nasser.
Nasser?
Nasser.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, Nasser. So I'm an atheist. I don't believe in God. Presumably you do. So why should I believe in the God that you believe in?
I have a question for you.
Okay, is it going to be a question that answers my question?
I'm gonna ask the question. My English isn't very good, so I want to ask you how the universe was created.
I don't think it was created.
Like how it began.
I'm not sure it did begin.
All right. Doesn't that mean there is a God?
I don't know how
The
it would.
universe.
I don't know
Like I'm
why
asking
that
you
would make me
question.
think. I don't know why that would make me think that there is a God.
Everything has a beginning, you know?
Does
But God doesn't have a beginning.
Okay, so not everything has a beginning.
God is above everything, of course.
Okay, so everything has a beginning except the one thing that doesn't have a beginning. So why couldn't that one thing be the universe?
Uh, all right, man. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Th-
Okay. If you're coming from the standpoint that there is no God, then there isn't convincing you. That's just a waste of time. If you said I'm open to the possibility of God, that's different. Of course I'm open to the possibility. I don't think that it exists. But like, I could be wrong. What it means to be an atheist is that you don't think a God exists. It doesn't mean that you don't think you couldn't be wrong. You couldn't be wrong, right? Like, of course I could be wrong. I could be wrong about a lot of things. All right, let's bring up I hate life for real. Well, I hope you don't hate life that much, but
Hello.
how's it going?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing all right. I hate life. How old are you?
I'm 21.
Okay, and what year were you born?
2005.
Okay, so I don't believe in God. I'm an atheist. So
Yeah.
why should I believe in the God that you believe in?
Okay, I have a question first. What's your take on
Why do I always
the,
have questions first? Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry. What's your take on the scientific miracles in the Quran?
I don't think that there are any. Now, are you going to answer my
No,
question?
Yeah, because you should believe in God because there are scientific miracles. For example, I'm Muslim. There are scientific miracles in the Quran that proved, it's like 1,400 years ago.
Could you give me an example?
Yeah, like everything is made of water.
But that's not true. It's not true that everything's made up of water.
But the scientists have proved it.
Scientists have absolutely not proven that everything is made of water. For example, carbon dioxide isn't made of water.
No, every living thing is made of water.
Well, water, I mean, that was kind of obvious to, like, what was his name? The first philosopher? He thought that everything was made of water, and that was like 1,000 years before Muhammad was even born.
How about Muhammad was someone who could not read and write, and he was born in a really
you don't need to be able to read
society.
You don't need to be able to read and write in order to learn things, right?
Well, you need to read and write in order to discover, in order to read about scientists and philosophers, right?
No, you don't. You just need to talk to people. If you talk to people who know about that stuff, then you can learn that stuff without hearing about it, or without reading about it, rather.
I just believe that they were in a isolated society.
They absolutely weren't. Muhammad was a merchant, a traveling merchant. He spoke with tons of people.
But like, I wasn't Muslim before. I was a Christian, but the idea of the scientific miracles in the Quran made me, convert and.
It's crazy that would make you convert when, like, these things are really, really easy to see why they're not scientific miracles. Some of them are not scientific, other ones are not miracles. Some of them are not scientific nor miracles. Like, for example, the description of how a fetus forms is almost word for word what Galen described how a fetus forms in the womb. So Galen was an ancient Greek physician, and he had opinions about how humans develop in the womb. And Muhammad's description is almost word for word identical to that. And we even know how he would have heard about Galen's description, because I think it was one of Muhammad's siblings' spouses, or one of Muhammad's,
Was Christian?
no, not was Christian, was a medical doctor, who was a medical doctor in Baghdad, I want to say. And the medical doctors in Baghdad specifically used Galen's text as a way of learning about the body.
Okay. Can I?
So like that's an example of like how we know how Muhammad knew this, and that it's not. We know how Muhammad thought it was true, and we also know that it's false. So this is a perfect example of something that people claim is a scientific miracle, which is like obviously not true.
Okay. Do you think before Muhammad people knew that iron was not originally from
It may have
this
not been Baghdad. I may have butchered the history there, by the way. But the point stands is that there is a, and I can go get the details on this. I just need to refamiliarize myself with it. But the point stands is that there is a well-documented connection between Muhammad and Galen's texts. But anyway, go ahead.
Do you think before Muhammad or before Islam, people knew that iron was not originally from this planet Earth?
Most of the iron on the Earth formed with the Earth. So
But
it's
it
false
came
that it's not from the Earth.
outside, but it came from the outside, right?
No, so
Space.
I mean, so the Earth hasn't always existed. So like obviously the stuff that formed the Earth, obviously that wasn't always part of the Earth, but because the Earth hasn't always existed, of course. But the iron that we find on Earth, most of it was there when the Earth formed.
Okay. My final question is, why do you think that there are many, like, why do you think there's a reason exists for 1.5 billion people to believe that God exists?
Because they've all been duped like you have.
Do you think so?
I do. Look, I hate life. Do you think that you're dumb?
I'm not. I'm an engineering student.
Okay, right.
I don't think-
I'm not saying you're dumb. I'm saying, do you think that you're dumb? Right? I don't think you're dumb either. But you were duped by this, and I just explained to you how you were duped by it. I'd explained what these quote-unquote scientific miracles aren't scientific miracles, and yet you got suckered by it. So who's to say that all of these normal people who are not particularly smart, maybe they're just average, why wouldn't they be duped by it?
Because they don't read much. I don't know.
Plenty of people, regardless of how smart you are, it's very easy to be misled, to be sold a lie if you don't know the whole story. It's very, very easy to do.
Okay.
I mean, for example, you think that Christianity isn't true, but 2 billion people believe
because of
that.
because of the Trinity, like the idea of the Trinity, it's just false.
I mean, sure, I agree. But 2 billion people were duped into believing that it's reasonable, right?
Yeah.
So in the same way, I would say that 1.5 billion Muslims were duped. They were duped into it by their upbringing, by their imams, by the apologetics online. They were duped.
Okay. Well, it was really nice to talk with you, Dr. Blitz.
Likewise. Have a good one.
You too.
Oh, I'm getting a phone call from my endodontics appointment. I have to take this. It'll be quick. Sorry, I have to get a root canal next week, and they were calling to schedule stuff. Gonna drink some water, and then we'll move on to our next guest. There's nothing secret I was hiding. I just didn't want to spam you guys with my phone call. They were just asking, it was just the person from the endodontist's office calling to like work out scheduling and talk about patient intake and all that stuff, the normal thing. All right, let's read some super chats and then we'll bring on our next guest. From C-Bar with the $2 super chat, Pride Demon. Pride Month? More like Pride Demon. From Kusariuri with the $2, have you completed missions under campaign tab? I don't think I have a campaign tab. I don't know if there is a campaign tab. I don't know anything. I don't know how to do this. I'm trying to do a Tim Robinson thing, but yeah, the app is very different on the computer compared with the phone. All right, let's bring up our next guest. I spoke with Matthew Davids quite recently. In fact, I spoke with him 2 days ago for like over an hour. So we'll probably talk to someone else instead. Let's talk to, I want to make sure that this is in the right place. Let's talk to Noumenal Agent. Noumenal Agent? I don't know how to pronounce that. Noumenal Agent, how's it going?
I'm fine. I just think that from what I've heard, I think you are a strong atheist, right? Which means
Yeah, I'm pretty confident.
you actively reject.
Yeah, I'm pretty confident in the position that God doesn't exist. Now, of course, I could be wrong about that. If somebody could present me with like compelling reasons to believe that this is the case, then I would change my view, but it doesn't seem like anybody has. Now, look, do you think that you have those compelling reasons?
But wouldn't you think that it would be more rational to be an agnostic? Because
only if I haven't heard compelling reasons for thinking that a God doesn't exist, and all of the allegedly compelling reasons for believing that a God does exist are bad reasons. So no, I don't think it would be more rational. I mean, maybe if you don't know much, then it would be more rational, but I've been in this too long to be confident.
Yeah, because if you were to know or to read philosophy, you would know that there's this thing called the epistemic fallacy, right? Which means you trying to seek out evidence from this phenomenal world is an epistemic attempt, right? And this epistemic attempt can never bridge you towards the ontology, right? Which is what God is, right? We can never know the true nature of reality, right? So you trying
perhaps
to gain,
that's the case, but it just doesn't give us a good reason to believe that a God exists. And in fact, I think that there are good arguments that are not like observational. They're not empirical. They're good philosophical arguments against the existence of a God.
Yeah, like maybe you can give an example.
Yeah, I mean, like, it depends on which God we're talking about. If we're talking about the God of classical theism, then I think that arguments like the problem of evil are really, really strong. But even if we're not talking about classical theism, if we're not talking about some being that's, omnibenevolent, there seem to be very serious issues with a being that we would call an agent, something that has a mind and yet exists outside of time. There's like a serious problem with saying that something is able to take actions, able to have a will, have thoughts, have beliefs, have values, and yet not exist in time at all. Whereas, the way that we understand minds to be, these are things that are processes, not events, not static objects that can exist timelessly. So there's a serious issue there that I find extraordinarily problematic for any sort of theistic worldview.
Yeah, because it's very clear that you're using your epistemics to try to understand ontology. So that is the problem,
Noumenal
right?
Agent, are you agnostic? Do you believe in a God?
Yeah, I think it's rational to be agnostic.
Okay, so do you believe in a God? You didn't answer my question.
I'm open because I believe, yeah, but I don't actively reject God, right? Because that is an irrational position.
I don't know what it means to look. I don't even know what it means to actively reject God. I think that there's good reason to think that the proposition God exists is false. That's just called having a stance. It can be totally rational to have that stance given the data, given the arguments that you've been presented. There's nothing irrational about this. Now, you could absolutely say, oh, well, we should be skeptical about everything because we don't have access to the true nature of reality. That's fine, I guess, if you want to be a global skeptic. I'm not interested in global skepticism.
It's not global skepticism, right? Because like if I were to ask you a question, like do you know do you know the tree in itself, right? It's something that's very basic, right? Like if you look at the tree, right? Like what do you see? You see green leaves, you see brown bark. You thought that is your objective, like the tree in itself is what's in front of you, right? but that's not the case, right? Because
Right, you're describing
we do
global
know that there are
skepticism.
other animals or other insects that perceive the tree completely differently, right?
You're
so the
you're
tree
just
itself,
describing
or the
global
true nature of the tree
skepticism.
is
That's all you're doing right
Yeah,
now. You're describing global skepticism, and I'm telling you I don't buy into global skepticism. I think that that's quite silly.
Okay, so what is the like? Can you tell me the true nature of a tree? Like, what is the true nature of a tree?
I think we have good reasons to think that a tree, well, a tree is a bad example because it actually doesn't have a good definition. There's not like one single kind of thing that's a tree. But if we were to talk about like a rabbit is a specific kind of organism that lives on Earth. That's just what we mean when we say what a rabbit is.
Yeah, but
Now,
that's
if
not-
you're
that's
asking
not
about,
what-
if you're asking how I can prove this with absolute certainty, of course I can, because we don't have direct
no,
access.
no. That's
We don't
not-
have direct
that's
access
not
to
what I'm talking
ontology,
about, right?
but we can still come to
No, no,
conclusions
that's-
reasonably.
No, that's not what I'm talking about. Like, your perception of your perception of a rabbit, right, in this phenomenal world, is I would assume white, right, and furry, right.
I mean, it depends on the rabbit, but sure.
Yeah. So what I'm trying to tell you is that there are other animals or other insects in this world that perceive or feel or perceive the rabbit completely differently, right? So
Yeah.
so what is the true nature of
The thing
rabbit,
itself,
right?
and
Like-
we can analyze the thing itself. We can say, like, look, this thing is smaller than the Earth. That would be a true statement that we could say that's independent of perspective.
No, but the interesting question is, if assuming humans were to cease to exist, right, what would a rabbit look like?
Rabbits would still be smaller than the Earth.
Yeah, I mean, you are comparing relative to size.
Yeah, so there are in some sense there are objective statements that you can make about rabbits that don't involve human perspective. For example, we could say that rabbits are smaller than the Earth and bigger than amoebas. We could say that rabbits have optical sensors that directly tie in with certain kinds of cells located within the rabbit's body, and these are called eyes. That's what we usually refer to as eyes. We could say something about the kinds of light that reflects off of the rabbit. We could say that it reflects roughly uniformly off of the rabbit, which is what humans would call looks white, right? There are plenty of objective things that we could say about the rabbit that are independent of human perspective. And like if your claim is merely that, oh, well, you know, human perspective, we can't know the true nature of reality, blah, blah, blah. Like, I'm sorry, that if you're going to make that claim about God, then you better make that claim about everything. And then you've just been vatted. You've just been thrown into a brain, and you've just been thrown into a vat because you're just a brain.
I don't think so, right? Because even for God, like even if I were to talk about a theistic God, right? Yeah, assuming you have successfully rejected or debunked every single document or every single Bibles or every single manuscript in this world, right? A theistic God can still exist, right?
Depends on which theistic God we're talking about.
Precisely, right? So no matter what you do in this phenomenal world, and no matter how good you are in rejecting these assertions that is written on these manuscripts, right? Yeah, a theistic God can still exist, because I can say that a
Well,
God.
no, I mean, if you define a theistic God as the kind of thing that has certain properties, then no, there are arguments against it possibly existing, right? Like, that's the issue. The issue is that a theistic God is a specific kind of thing. Now, you could say, oh, well, a theistic God could be this water bottle, and then the water bottle exists, but like, that's just not what people mean when they say a theistic God. These words have meanings. People have beliefs about theistic gods that are specific, not just general and vague. That is what it means. That's what a god is defined to be in the theistic tradition. In the deistic tradition, it's different, and I have arguments against that too.
Yeah, I understand, right? But because
So
a
just to
theistic
be clear,
God is,
Numeno, you don't believe in God, right?
I'm agnostic, right? Because
Can you
I
answer my
think that's the
question?
most
Do you believe in God? Yes or no?
Do I believe in God?
Yeah. Do you believe that a God exists?
Yeah, I'm sitting on a fence.
Well, I'm asking you about your stance towards the proposition, or rather, I'm asking you about whether or not you have a certain kind of belief. There is a kind of belief, which would be the stance towards the proposition God exists. If you believe in God, what it means is that you think that that proposition is likely to be true, or is true. So do you believe in God?
Yeah, I mean, I like if you were to understand, because I believe in justified true belief, right? So which means if I think that it is impossible to know whether God exists.
I don't know why you're dodging the question so hard.
No, if epistemically, I think it's impossible to know the ontological existence of God. If that's the case, why would I want to?
So okay, so you don't have a belief in God. You do not have the belief that God exists.
No,
that's a binary.
I'm 50-50.
You either have the belief or you don't have the belief. That's a binary. There is no there's no gradation there.
No, you can say that I don't know, right?
You can say that you don't know if a God exists, but that still would mean that you like that would still you could still have a belief that God exists or not or a belief that God doesn't exist or not a belief that God does exist.
No, but why?
I'm not asking you. I am not asking you whether or not you believe God doesn't exist. I'm asking you whether or not you believe God does exist. Those are different and not opposites of one another. Look, I don't have a belief that I don't have a belief that the Collatz conjecture is true, right? I don't have a belief that that's true. I also don't have a belief that it's false. I'm agnostic about the Collatz conjecture, but I certainly don't have the belief that it's true.
Yeah, because the reason why I'm sitting on the fence, right, is because
you can sit on the fence and also not have the belief that it's true. Those two things are not mutually incompatible. I just want you to admit that you don't believe that a God exists. You can also say that you don't believe that a God doesn't exist because you're on the fence. Both are true. Both can be true simultaneously.
Yeah, because my belief is justified by my knowledge, right? So if we are talking about God, the ontological existence of a God, which is impossible to bridge epistemically, right? Then why should I have any sort of belief?
Right. You should. So if that's your position, you shouldn't have a belief. You shouldn't have a belief. That's exactly it. You should not have a belief in either position, in either that God exists or that God doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Okay. So you agree that you do not have the belief that God exists.
Yeah, both sides.
Okay, great. So then why did you come up here if you don't even believe in a God?
No, I mean, I'm open to the possibility, right?
Yeah, that's fine. But you don't believe in a God.
No, wait.
So you can be open to the possibility and still not believe in it. I'm also open to the possibility, and I don't believe in it.
Yeah, but after what I've told you, like why? Like why are you actively rejecting it?
Because the arguments that I've heard are compelling. That's how we form beliefs.
Yeah, I've already mentioned every single argument that you've given.
You haven't critiqued any of the arguments. So if we take it's literally not. There's like these are not empirical claims. We're not based off. We're not using our observations. Epistemics are really about how we come to know what we know, and there are things that we can come to know surely that are not merely inductively determined to be true.
So. Yeah, I think it's impossible.
You think it's impossible to know anything?
No, it's impossible to bridge to use epistemics to have.
You don't use epistemics.
To bridge ontology.
Epistemics is the branch of philosophy that studies how we know what we know. You don't use epistemics. Epistemics is a description of a branch of philosophy. Like, do you think that you can know anything?
Yes, but we cannot have access to the true nature of reality, right? That's for certain, right?
Sorry, do you know that for certain? Is that part of the true nature of reality that we can't? Wait, yeah. So is it the case? Is it a part of the true nature of reality that we cannot have access to the true nature of reality?
Yeah, that's what Kant says about the noumenal world.
So it sounds like what you're saying is that there is something you can know about the true nature of reality. Namely, that you can't know anything about the true nature of reality, which is self-defeating, of course.
There are there are different versions of this, right? Yeah, you yeah, there are people talking about different stratified realities. So the empirics, which is what we see on the surface.
Yep, I'm not referring to empirics. I'm not an empiricist.
So some people talks about ontics, like the underlying mechanism that cannot be seen, right, but is consistent. There is modal stability. Yeah, so some people think that is ontology.
Do you
right?
think
like,
so? Do you think that it's part of the true nature of reality that you cannot know anything about the true nature of reality?
Yeah, but that's just silly, right? It's just a play on words.
It's how is that a play on words?
I'm just saying that there are different versions of people who think that.
I'm asking you. I don't care about different people. I'm asking you.
Okay.
Do you think that it is an aspect of the true nature of reality that we cannot know anything about the true nature of reality?
I don't think so, right?
Okay, so that's so why would I care about this thing that is not a part of the true nature of reality? You're making the claim that we can't know anything about the true nature of reality, and now you're saying that's not even the true nature of reality. So why would I believe you that we can't know anything about the true nature of reality?
Yeah, maybe you can.
If that's not even true.
Yeah, you can give an example.
Give an example of what? My point is that you're saying we can't know anything about the true nature of reality, but then you're telling me that that statement is not a part of the true nature of reality, meaning that I shouldn't trust it at all. There's no reason I should believe that if it's not part of the true nature of reality. I should be agnostic about whether or not we can know anything about the true nature of reality, at least according to you.
Yeah.
And so in principle, it's not even rational to believe that you can't know anything about the true nature of reality, in your view.
Well, why?
Because you should be agnostic about it, because that's not part of the true nature of reality, and you don't have access to it. You don't have access to the true nature of reality, so you can't even know if it's true that you can't know anything about the true nature of reality.
If we do not have access to the true nature of reality, right?
Well, that's the claim, but you should be agnostic. You should be agnostic towards that claim because you don't know if that's the part of the true nature of reality.
Okay, so you're trying to say that I should be agnostic too?
You should be agnostic about whether or not you can know about the true nature of reality.
Yeah, but how about you, right? Like, do you think?
I think that there are things that we can know about the true nature of reality. Absolutely. I think that it's.
Okay,
I think that this kind of global skepticism is silly. Yeah, I think that we can know that beliefs exist.
Is belief a true nature of reality?
I think it's a part of it. Yeah. Whatever a belief ends up being, it's a real thing that exists.
Okay, so what's true to you? Like what's the definition of true? Is it something material?
I'm a pluralist about truth. I don't have one particular view about what truth is. Like, I mean, we could talk about mathematical truths. We could talk about social truths. We could talk about like ontological truths. Like, I'm a pluralist.
Yeah, but you said beliefs are true, right?
No, I said beliefs exist.
Yeah, but you said you know that there are. Like you have
yes,
access to the true nature of reality, right?
I know it's true that beliefs exist. I know it's true that there is something thinking.
Okay. So yeah.
And these are parts of the true nature of reality, by the way. So you're saying thinking is the true nature of reality? No, I'm not saying thinking is the true nature of reality. I'm saying that thinking is at least part of. Thinking is a thing that exists within the true nature of reality. Or rather, perhaps it's a process that exists. It might not be a thing in itself, you know.
Yeah, so how, wait, so how
do we know that? Because if we considered the idea, and by the way, this goes back to Descartes, so like, this is kind of like trivially true. If we consider the idea that perhaps beliefs do not exist, well, perhaps thoughts, perhaps thinking is not a process that exists. Well, considering that itself is thinking. So it's a self-defeating world, or it's a self-defeating view to suggest that thinking doesn't exist, because just by thinking about that, you're having a thought.
Yeah, but your but that activity is within a phenomenal world, right?
That activity is
your
self.
ontology.
That activity, whatever it is, and I'm not claiming to know what a thought is. Like, I'm not claiming to know what a belief is. Like, these are some kind of thing. Whatever it is, it's a thing that exists, and it's first person accessible. This isn't epistemically. This is first person accessible. This is the only thing that we can. This is probably the only thing that we can be certain about exists.
Epistemically, right?
Saying epistemically doesn't get you out of this problem. It is self-refuting to suggest that thoughts and beliefs don't exist. It's self-refuting. So to hold those views is to reject those views.
I don't know, man, because for what you have...
I know.
Yeah,
on your worldview, you don't know anything. I understand that. I think it's silly. I think there are things that we can know.
Oh, no. That's not true, right? We understand that we are living in a phenomenal world. We understand that everything that we see, feel, or touch...
Yeah, I'm not an empiricist.
It's not objectively true,
I'm not an
right?
empiricist. I'm not relying on sense data.
So thinking is not sense?
No.
No, it's not.
No. It's not sense
Okay,
data.
so how does thinking arise?
That's a great question. I don't know. I suspect that it has something to do with the brain, but I could be wrong about that.
So assuming you are blind, deaf, and you can't
Assuming you're
speak,
paralyzed,
right?
you're blind, deaf, you're mute. Yeah, you can still have thoughts. Absolutely.
Are you sure about that?
Yeah.
So you are saying you believe that a priori things exist?
I believe that a priori knowledge exists, sure.
Okay, so...
I gave you 2 examples already.
Okay, like what?
Yeah, that thoughts exist and that beliefs exist.
So these 2 things do not need sense data?
No.
You can believe in something without seeing, without hearing.
Yeah, I'm not an empiricist. It sounds like you're an empiricist.
No. Maybe you can enlighten us, right? How do you form a belief without hearing?
For example, I would believe...
Without smelling.
Yeah, so I could believe that I exist. That doesn't require any external senses at all.
Are you sure that you can form this thought without your 5 senses?
Yeah. None of that thought doesn't depend on any senses at all.
Have you read Quine before?
No.
Quine?
You mean
you need?
Do you mean? Yeah. No, I haven't. And
you need there is no such thing as a priori, right? Because you need.
Well, hold on. That's an enormous claim. Prove it.
You need a web of belief to actually form any sort of...
I mean, to be clear, that's a huge claim. Prove it.
Yeah, we can prove it abductively, right?
Okay, so you can't prove it? You can perhaps provide some sort of explanation for why that should be true, but you can't prove it. So to say it with absolute certainty, it seems like the skeptic guy, you, should be the one that's absolutely agnostic about this.
No, but it's even weirder for a strong atheist, right, to believe in a priori truth, right?
It's not that weird, no. No, I don't think so. Also, by the way, I'm not saying that, I'm not sure what you mean by a priori truth. Again, I'm a pluralist about what truth is. I'm not sure that truth even exists outside of the mind. But whatever it might be, my point is merely that there are things that you can know about the world without having external experience. I think that being an empiricist is probably pretty silly.
Yeah, so the only thing that so far that I've heard that you think can exist even without your five senses is the knowledge of you existing. Is that true?
Yeah, and
That-
perhaps the
that's
knowledge
the only
that
thing that
beliefs
you can know, right?
perhaps the knowledge. Well, I don't know if it's the only thing that you can know. It's just the examples that I gave. I gave you the example that there is something thinking, i.e., that there are thoughts, and that there are beliefs. These are two examples that dismantle the worldview or dismantle the empiricist worldview.
Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, I still find it very, very weird that you can have beliefs without any sort of senses or sense data, right? It doesn't make any sense to me.
What sense data is required to believe that beliefs exist?
You don't even have the vocabulary, right? You don't even have the
Do you
vision,
think?
right?
Wait, so do you think that if oh, actually, here's an example. Elephants or dolphins are very, very smart. In fact, I would probably bet that dolphins are probably self-aware. They probably have beliefs. Do you think that dolphins, because they don't have literal language, that they can't have beliefs? Or better yet, do you think that that a person who was literally raised by wolves, so they don't have human language at all, can the person not have beliefs because they don't have a vocabulary?
No, it's not only that, right? It's your sense data, right? You need to have.
Why do you need sense data?
Because your thoughts are formed diachronically, right, by everything that you have experienced.
You can experience. Look. When I'm unconscious, when I'm dreaming, I'm still experiencing something despite not having any sense data. Now, in the case of dreams, in the case of dreams, that sense data is simulated. But you don't have to have experiences in order to, at least it's not clear to me that you have to have experiences in order to form thoughts.
Yeah, your dream is formed by prior experiences, right?
Sure,
obvious,
but
right?
I mean, the point is that, and sure, I mean that's true. The point is it's not based on sense data, at least not directly. The question is
how is that not? I mean,
the question is under what conditions, or what piece of sense data is required to form a belief about one's own existence? Okay, let's take this example. Suppose that you lose your sense of touch, but you still can see, hear, smell, taste, whatever. Can you know about your own existence? Can you have thoughts?
yes, you need at least some form of sense data, right? At least, right?
Well, that you keep saying that.
Right?
Okay, so now let's take away sight. You just have smell, taste, hearing, and then the other ones that are not as well named. You just have smell, taste, and sight. Can you have thoughts? Can you have beliefs about yourself? Can you have self-awareness?
Yeah, because you are assuming that.
Okay, so suppose that you have no sense data except the sense of smell. Can you have self-awareness?
Yeah, because you are thinking like an adult, right? you have to assume someone that has no prior experience.
Suppose that somebody was
senses.
born. Somebody was born with only the sense of smell. Can they have a belief about themselves? Can they have thoughts?
I think so, because you can smell, right? Assuming
they just have smell. Yeah, they're a baby. They just have smell. Can they form thoughts?
Assuming a newborn baby with no sight, with no smell, they can't smell and can't hear, right? They don't even know that they exist, right?
Why would they not know that they exist?
They cannot visualize the phenomenal world.
Who cares about visualization? You don't have to visualize things in order to know that you exist.
No, if you can't visualize, you cannot have this spatial awareness.
Are you aware that there are people who have aphantasia who literally can't visualize anything? and they function just perfectly fine. They have thoughts, they have beliefs, they have dreams, they have all sorts of things. Like, this is a crazy claim. Like, people who are born blind,
It's not crazy.
can form beliefs. You don't have to be able to visualize something.
No, at least you need at least some sort of a sense, right?
You
to
keep
form
saying that. You
experience,
haven't
right?
presented any argument or any evidence in favor of that argument.
Yeah, I mean, maybe you can define what experience is.
What? Maybe I
What's
can
the
define
definition of
what
experience?
I think experience is probably like properly basic. Like, it's a thing that subjective agents do.
Yeah, so how are experiences formed?
Yeah, that's I'm not sure, to be honest. It's not clear what amounts to an experience and what doesn't. It seems like if I'm sitting there just thinking about things, it seems like that's some kind of experience, and it doesn't rely on the external world existing.
Yeah, because you have prior experiences, right, through your five senses.
Yeah,
So that is
look,
one
the
of the
burden
reasons
at this point, the burden of proof is on you to propose or to explain or provide evidence for, or provide an argument for the impossibility of a person with no sense data having experience.
Yeah, because I just think that experiences are formed by our five senses.
Yeah, that's the
That's
claim
the only
again.
way, right?
That's the claim again. But
So
the burden
unless
is on
you have
you to
some
actually
sixth sense
demonstrate the
or some
claim.
ESP, right? Yeah.
Sorry?
Besides the five senses, what other things do you think can form your experience? Like do you think
Thoughts.
there's something called the sixth sense or an ESP
No,
or something?
I think that thoughts are a thing that you can have. You can you can experience your own thoughts.
Oh, so you think thoughts can happen even without any
Yes,
sort of
that's what I've been
sense
saying
data?
for a while now.
Yeah, so maybe the burden of proof
And
is
that
on
seems
you,
like
right?
that seems like obviously true. It seems like thoughts don't have to be about external world data.
Like, well, I don't understand. Like, why is it obviously true?
Because
Like,
there's
what
also
are you thinking
internal. There's
about?
also internal stuff. You could be thinking about like numbers if you wanted to. You could conceptualize. You could conceptualize logic, like the notion of difference itself, as Ian would like to say.
Yeah. So how are you going to understand logic?
I don't know. I'm not a baby, but at least it doesn't seem impossible. You could think about difference itself. You could think about the difference between thinking and not thinking, for example.
Okay, so it's getting interesting now. So you're saying even without the five
it's getting
senses,
entirely uninteresting for what it's worth.
no. You have made some. You have said something new, right? So it's not only the thought of you existing.
I wish it went both ways.
Even without the five senses, you are saying that you can derive logic, math.
I mean, perhaps.
Okay,
So
so
at least seems like epistemically possible. I don't see why you wouldn't be able to.
yeah, so besides that, is there any other thing?
Besides
that you
what? Is
can-
there any other thing?
Like
Besides the
besides-
counterexample to your claim, is there anything else? I don't need anything else. One counterexample is enough to dismantle the view.
Yeah, but you just saying it doesn't make it true, right?
Look, you have to if you're making the positive. So I've just asserted that it at least seems plausible. At least seems like there's no obvious contradiction, right, in the view that one could conceptualize difference without having access to the external world, right? That at least seems conceptually the case, that it could be the case, that could happen. You're making a much stronger claim that this is impossible, right? So if you want to make the claim that it's impossible, then you should demonstrate it.
That's not true, right? I like a belief in that, but you are actively saying that it is possible
Well, no, I'm saying it's epistemically possible, meaning that I
And
like
you
I don't
justify
see
it
any
by-
issue. I don't
no,
see any issue that like
you would
would
justify it by
demonstrate it's
justify it by
impossibility.
saying that it's possible, right? Isn't that the same thing as?
I mean, I gave you an example of how it
you
could work.
believe
I gave you an
that
example.
God
I gave you an
does not
example of how
exist?
it could work explicitly.
How?
I told you already. One could think about thinking, one could think about not thinking, and recognize the difference between the two. That doesn't require any external world experience.
I think it does, right? Like how is it
Okay,
possible?
what external world experience does it require? Without begging the question, by the way.
So what is thinking to you without the five senses?
The stuff that goes on in my mind.
About what?
Well, I just told you what it's about. It could be about not thinking. It could be about like the act of having my mind be silent. We use these kinds of metaphors to describe these kinds of things, but you know what I'm talking about. Or I could be thinking about the phenomena, the experience of having my mind not be silent. Right? And then I could recognize the difference between those two.
Yeah, when you say your mind is not silent, right? Like, what do you mean by that?
Yeah, it's metaphorical. It means that I'm not actively thinking about something. You know, when you're
Yeah, so-
meditating.
So what can you think without five senses?
I just gave you 2 examples.
Existing. Are you serious? You think about existing?
You could think about thinking. It's a thing that we do all the time. It's called metacognition. At least I hope everybody in this conversation does it all the time.
So you think metacognition does not require any sort of sense data at all?
At least doesn't seem to.
So if assuming you are a baby, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have no senses at all.
Mm-hmm.
Everything that you know is blank, right? It's black, right? Like a tabarasa, right?
Yep.
A blank slate, right? So what can you think?
You could think about you could think about not having any sort of thoughts. You could think about having thoughts. And those thoughts could be about not having thoughts, or it could be about having thoughts.
But you still haven't described like what is the thought, right?
Look, I don't know what a thought. I don't know what a thought is. I don't think anybody knows what a thought is.
No, but I'm not talking about that in a generic sense, right? I'm saying if someone do not have any sort of sense data, right? What kind of thought can he or she have, right?
I've just explained it. You could have a thought about the way that your mind is when you're meditating, for example, like that kind of silence.
Yeah, it's still so vague, right? Like you think about your own thoughts.
Do you want to make maybe you can make an argument actually for the claim that you're making, rather than just kind of trying to be like, yeah, can you just explain this over and over again when I've done it 100 times now?
Because it's so vague, right? Because I like a belief in what you're talking about, right? But
Okay, so to be clear, you don't believe that empiricism is true? You don't believe that
it's true?
that
Like,
thoughts,
what do you mean by true?
You don't believe that beliefs require thoughts? Sorry, I misspoke. You don't believe that thoughts require experience, or require external experience?
I think they do, right?
Okay, so that's a positive belief. So can you defend it?
No, that's not the question, right?
It's absolutely the question.
No. The question is, assuming you have no sense data, right?
Yeah,
can
I've
you
already
still
given you
think?
examples of the kinds of thoughts that you can have. The burden is now on you. The burden has now shifted because I've given you examples. I've met my burden. The burden is now on you to defend the view that thoughts have to be about external experiences, or you have to have had external experiences in order to have thoughts.
You have been talking about thinking about your thoughts,
or thinking about your own
vague.
internal experience. Absolutely. And your own internal experience could be empty. Thinking about something empty is still thinking.
Yeah, what does that mean? Thinking about your thoughts? I'm asking you, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I know you're trying to shift the burden again. I've already met my burden. The burden is now on you.
You have not.
You can say that. I have answered your questions. I have given you examples. I have explained my worldview here.
No.
You are now,
so
I'm sorry. At this point, I am going to ask that you engage honestly, be charitable, and recognize that I have done my best to convey to you what I'm trying to explain. And now the burden is on you to try to explain why your belief is your belief. Why do you think that indeed thoughts require external experience?
Yeah, it's very simple, right? If you talk about any sort of causal universe or deterministic universe, right? Every single thing that you think or you do have a power cause, right? Or a power reason, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Sure.
So your thought is completely influenced by the power events, right? So
Sure.
so you can't say that there is something new, right? Or there's something new that is formed that is not based on the past events, right? I think that's absurd. Right?
Why would it not be based on past events?
Yeah. So if it's based on past events, right?
Yeah,
then,
past internal events like your existence lacking thought. That's a past state of affairs, rather.
Yeah. So, but no, but your thoughts, right? Without the five senses,
Asking a question is not an argument, by the way.
I'm not asking a question. Your thoughts are derived from your power senses, right? Power events.
There's begging the question again. That's the claim again. If only I had thought of that.
Yeah, if you were to remove all sense data, right? I don't think there's any way for you to form any sort of thoughts.
If only I had considered that I could just repeat the claim again, and that would be a justification for the claim. I hadn't thought of that. That's a good rhetorical move. I should try that next time.
Wait, you did the same thing too, right?
I've explained the ways. Yeah. I've explained the ways that you can have thoughts without having external experience. I've given you the kinds of thoughts that you can have without having external experiences. I've given plenty of explanation. I've given at least 2 examples. It's not clear to me that you're giving any sort of justification for the position. You're just reasserting it.
No, because I think thoughts are fully derived from phenomenology.
I'm
right?
aware. I want to know what the argument is for that.
There is no argument, right? Because you...
Okay, so there's no argument for this claim, so what's the reason to believe it?
It's a first person's perspective, right? It's like how you defended your view, right? So you're saying thoughts, you are thinking of your thoughts, right? Yeah, like that sort of thing, right? You are not explaining what your thoughts are, right?
Well, I don't know what thoughts are. You don't know what thoughts are. But the point is we both know that thoughts are things, or at least they're some kind of process or phenomenon that happens in the mind, whatever that might be. And I was giving you an example of what those thoughts could be about. In particular, they could be about the state of affairs that you were in when you weren't having thoughts. That's a thing that your thoughts could be about.
I don't think so, man, because...
Yeah, okay, you don't think so. Okay, so what's the counter argument?
Yeah,
what's the evidence to the contrary?
Like, how can you have any sort of...
Asking a question isn't an argument.
No, I'm critiquing your view, right?
You're not critiquing anything. I'm asking for the argument. You've now just shown incredulity every single time I give this example. Right? You know, you could have thoughts about the states of affairs that you were in when you were not having thoughts. You could have thoughts about that. That is a state of affairs that you could have a thought about. And you're saying, well, how could you have that thought? All you're doing is showing incredulity. You're not providing any sort of argument or any sort of evidence for the claim, for the contrary claim.
No, I'm
Now, we
trying
spent
to
20 minutes with you trying to critique my worldview without understanding it. I would like you to at least try to defend your worldview in the slightest without relying on some sort of incredulity about mine.
Yeah, because I think you need some sort of a temporal sense or any sort of a spatial sense, right, to have any sort of thoughts, right? So like what you have mentioned previously about.
Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. Does just having a if your claim is just recognizing that the past is distinct from the present, if recognizing that distinction counts as an external world experience, well, then my guy, we're not in disagreement. I think that you can have memories of your own states of affairs, but that's not an external sense.
No, wait. How can you have such awareness without your five senses?
Because thinking is a process, and processes take time.
Yeah, but you cannot recognize the moments in time, right, without your five senses.
Why do you? That doesn't seem to follow at all. You can recognize that there are things you remember and things that are or I don't want to say happening. You can recognize that there's a state of affairs now which is distinct from the state of affairs prior. You can recognize that distinction. Like or that the state of affairs now is distinct from the state of affairs that you remember.
Wait. So, okay. So my question is, what is the distinction?
Well, one of them could have your memory of you having thoughts, and one of them could have your memory of you not having thoughts if they're distinct. Right.
Yeah. So let's be clear, right? That person without the five senses cannot feel or visualize or hear anything. Right?
Yeah.
So yeah. So you're saying that
they still can have memories about themselves.
Okay. So memory of what?
Memory of their own states of affairs, their own minds, the conditions their mind was in.
That's so vague, right?
Sorry, that's what?
That's too vague, right? Because
you keep saying it's too vague. You know, at this point, I'm getting a little sick of the conversation because you haven't actually presented an argument for worldview whatsoever.
You have not. I'm trying to.
I've been so charitable. I've actually answered your questions. I've given examples. I've given explanations. I've done all of that, and you haven't actually. You know what we're gonna do? I'm gonna give you the next 30 seconds to actually try to defend the worldview that indeed all thoughts require some sort of empiricism.
Why are you pivoting?
I'm not pivoting. I'm just sick of being interrogated for 25 minutes, and I'd rather actually hear you defend your worldview.
You can't answer the question.
I've answered it now for like 25 minutes. You just don't like the answer.
Whenever I try to pry you on your definition of thought, right? Like
we both agreed that we don't know what a thought is.
And one moment you're not thinking.
Yep.
So I'm
thoughts are things that we experience. They're things that we have direct access to.
Why are you interrupting, right? Yeah. So what's the difference between the thought that you're having now and the thought that you're having previously, right? They are exactly the same, right? Because you have no concept.
By the way, I started the clock about 5 seconds ago. Continue. I don't know why you're not continuing. The clock is ticking. I'm actually having an internal experience of time passing.
I'm waiting for you to answer the question, right? What's the difference between the thought that you're having now and the thought that you're having?
Bummer, the time ran out. You know, I kind of actually knew that was going to be a waste of time from the very beginning, but I got baited into the global skepticism debate. So, you know, kudos to the guest for the bait, but it's going on YouTube anyway, so it wasn't a complete waste of time. From Adrian Narky with the $2. Dock to Blitz on that day. Good content. From Relax with Russell with the $2. We can say rabbits chew the cud, for example. Indeed we can. We can say rabbits chew the cud. From Chase Martin with the $5. While we can't know everything with certainty, every time we do learn new information, God gets less likely as a possibility. The trend flows one way. That's a good point. But he didn't even want to talk about that. From L'Oreal Ashley sending 10 Dr. Blitz gift memberships. This means that 10 people watching in the vertical live stream on YouTube, 10 people in the @BlitzPhD watching from the @BlitzPhD account, watching in the vertical, just got access to 3 perks. One, you now have access to my to the fun emojis in the chat. 2, you now have access to my personal debate notes that it's where I keep all of my, like, sometimes you have a thought in the shower about, like, oh, that's a good argument, and that's where I write it down in that file. So you now have access to that. And 3, you now have access to the members only Discord channel. So everybody has access to the regular Discord channel, but there's a specific channel in that Discord channel that is members only. You now have access to that. Thank you so much, L'Oreal Ashley, as always. From Dr. Fudge with the $10. Oh, I should remind everybody, if you want access to those perks, or if you want to support me in a consistent way, it's like $4 or $5 a month. In this case, if you're on the vertical, it's $4 a month. And it's a good way to let me know that you want to continue supporting me. It's a good way to give me some certainty so that I can know how much money I'm going to have at the beginning of every month to pay the bills, that kind of thing. So that is a great way to support me, and I very much appreciate anybody who cares to join. From Dr. Fudge with the $10, I feel like in some way this guy's arguing that he's a P-zombie, if I understand his view, and if I remember P-zombies correctly. I don't think that he was intentionally doing that, but it sounded like that's what he was doing. From Tarika, okay, how am I separating the sounds here? From Terry Kalsafi with the 279 Canuck bucks. What is time crystallization? Time is physical? Oh, who knows? From Relax with Russell with the $5. Bro, 5 senses is so outdated. We have anywhere from 22 to 33. Yeah, I know. Like proprioception, which is your sense of self in space without needing to touch anything. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's definitely a sense. All right, I'm just going to double check, make sure that we don't have any cash apps or anything. It doesn't look like we do, so we can continue to move on to our next guest. Remember to like the live stream if you want me to put my hair down. It gets more people go. It gets the people going, I guess. Just double checking some places. Oh, I should hydrate. Do we have any guests from Discord? We do have a few guests from Discord. Discord guests tend to be lower quality, but I'll bring up one anyway. Let's bring up Cheese Bath. Cheese Bath, you gotta unmute yourself, but welcome to the party. Come back. Cheese Bath, come back.
Hello?
Welcome. Cheese Bath, do you believe in a god?
Hey. So I'm just gonna...
Your microphone's pretty quiet, by the way. You should turn it up a little bit.
Oh, hold on. I'm on max input volume. Is that okay?
You're on what?
My input volume's maxed. Is that okay?
Yeah, just get closer to your microphone.
Hold on. Is this getting better?
It's still pretty quiet.
How about now?
If you can get no quieter than that, that's fine.
Okay. Sorry about that. Yeah, just stating what I believe. I'm a deist. So
Okay.
yeah. And since I've read a few of your papers, at least skimmed the abstract, so maybe I can learn something here. My stance is that while I believe the scientific consensus to be true with regard to everything from the Big Bang onwards, I think that I'm essentially invoking the Kalam cosmological argument in regards to the necessity of an initial first cause.
Suppose that I grant that there's some first cause that's uncaused. Why should I then believe that that's a god? That that's a divine being that has agency?
I guess I kind of only think the agency because, like, I think
You're really quiet again.
Oh shoot! Sorry. Is this better?
Oh yeah, I think that's way better.
That was my bad. I'm sorry.
You're good.
So yeah. I think it depends on what you mean by agency. I think that the individual who created things is a I guess has a mind.
Why should I think that?
Chose consciously. Well, because for example, like this individual would have chosen.
You're quiet again.
The ratio of constant. Hello?
Yep. Okay. So when you talk at that volume, it's fine. But then when you were talking again, it was quiet.
Oh, very, very strange. Sorry about that. No, yeah. The individual who created the universe would have had to choose the constants. Basically, is my contention on that.
Why should I think that that they're required to be chosen? What's the argument there?
I mean, you have like for example, like the ratio between gravity and electromagnetism. If that was like off by like, a less, 1 order of magnitude, we wouldn't have stellar formation.
Yeah, but 1 order of magnitude is not like a particularly small change. Like it could, like that if the best fine tuning argument that you have is an order of magnitude difference, then you have no fine tuning.
Well, I mean, you kind of do. I mean, you have a search space that's effectively the entire, number line of rational numbers.
How do you know that that's the that's the allowed search space?
Because I have no reason to believe that it's constrained.
Okay, so it sounds like that you should be. It sounds like you should be agnostic about fine tuning.
I think that given the probabilities of random chance versus a creator.
Who said anything about random chance?
What would you say was the mechanism then?
I mean, so presumably, which, if you're relying on the Coulomb cosmological argument, you demand that everything that's contingent has a cause. This is the PSR. Then that means that if you have an uncaused cause, everything that is caused afterwards is not random. In fact, everything that's caused afterwards is caused. And so, in particular, the constants could just very well be caused to be the way they are by some naturalistic mechanism.
I mean, it could be, but having a mind to direct it would provide a guarantee. I mean, like if you assume like the prior that there is a directed cause that set the constants to what it is, as opposed to, for example, a random space.
No, but it's not
naturalistic process. I mean,
so if you assume a directed cause, like a directed causal agent, or a causal agent that makes a directed choice, then sure, that increases the probability of the constants being what they are. Similarly, if you assume a natural phenomenon that reduces the search space to just those that are present, that also would predict the phenomena that we see, or the constants that we see. So if you make assumptions that bake in the thing you're trying to guarantee, then sure, yeah, but you're just over-specifying your hypotheses.
Okay. I mean that's fair, but the hypotheses that we currently have with naturalistic causes, I mean, the best one that I've heard is like string theory's 10 to the 500 vacua. Like,
and what's wrong with that?
That's 10 to the 500. And I mean, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I mean, you have like work on from Lee Smolin and Rovelli arguing that like what string theory seems to be generating is incompatible with our current understanding of like a small positive lambda for our lambda CDM model, which we already have.
There's actually a paper that came out actually fairly recently that makes the claim that you can get a small positive lambda or a small positive apparent lambda in string theory. But of course, this is frontier stuff. You could also have like Lee Smolin's own cosmological natural selection, which would fix the constants to be the way they are. And so like there's a plethora of explanations. I don't see why presupposing that there is a metaphysical mind is the best explanation.
Because it gives you essentially a probability of 1 if you like.
Yeah, and so would cosmological natural selection. So would an infinite multiverse with essentially like quantum phenomena determining these constant values. You get a probability of 1 in a whole bunch of different ways.
Yeah, I mean, you could. I mean, okay.
So it seems like you should be agnostic about this.
I lean agnostic. I'm not saying that they're like when I say I'm a deist, I think that's what I like. If you had to push me on it, I would say I'm a deist, for example. But I'm not saying like I am factually 100% on deism.
Right, but it's like so. I think that the fine tuning is probably the best argument that deists/theists have. I just don't think it's a good argument. I think that at best it gets you to some sort of agnosticism on the view. I think that there is enough what's the word? There's enough something going on here that we need to think about it more and we need to investigate it further. But because we don't have final physics, there's absolutely no reason to say that fine-tuning A exists and B is unexplained. I don't think that we have any reason that we can say that as it stands. We just don't have enough data. We should be agnostic about the nature of fine-tuning. In which case, if it, like, this is to say, I don't think that it should increase your probability in a theistic or deistic supernatural being.
Okay. So do you hold to any naturalistic claim for the fine-tuning of the
No, I'm agnostic about it. Like I said that you should be. I don't take fine-tuning to be a good explanation or to be good evidence for God. I also don't take fine-tuning to be good evidence for a multiverse. I don't take it to be good evidence for string theory. I don't take it to be particularly good evidence for much of anything, because we just don't know enough.
Yeah.
Also,
Okay,
by the
no,
way, the fine-tuning argument for God does run into the electrons and love argument, which is a separate thing, but we don't have to talk about that.
Yeah, no, I mean,
You're quiet again, by the way.
I'm just kind of interested. Oh, shoot. Better now?
Not really.
Okay, well, thank you for the conversation. I'm gonna fix my audio if I come back.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
Take care.
Thanks for the quick chat. Bye.
All right, let's bring up another, or let's read some super chats. The one super chat we have, do better. And then we'll bring up our next guest. From Mike B, very much appreciated. Thank you for the $5. Hi Blitz, thanks for the great vids from an atheist EE. Well, look, as much as I appreciate the super chat, as much as I appreciate the allyship of being an atheist, electrical engineers are by far the largest demographic of people who are likely to send me nonsense physics and ask me to review their work. So, sorry, bud. No, I'm kidding. All right, let us bring up Alada. Alada, how's it going?
Hello, how are you doing?
I'm doing all right. Alada, do you believe in God?
All right, so I do not believe in God currently, but I'm on the verge of like questioning it. And like, maybe could you provide me with some of your greatest arguments for why God might not exist?
Yeah, if God exists, then God is the originator of space and time and, you know, all of the stuff that makes up our universe. And yet, as far as we can tell, what a mind is a thing that necessarily exists in time. Minds have thoughts. Those thoughts are processes. We have beliefs. We have wills. We take actions. We do things. These are all verbs. These take place in time. As far as I'm concerned, it seems completely nonsensical to suggest that there is a mind that is timeless. And if indeed there is a God that is responsible for creating the space and time that we occupy, it can't be timeless. And yet it must be, because it can't occupy the thing that it created. And so it seems to me that this is just an impossibility. This is an incoherence in the view.
But many theists would argue that, I mean, to try to understand God from our perspective, the subjective human perspective, which is very limited, is kind of incoherent in its way. And
yeah, so
it doesn't
I mean,
really,
that's fine.
You cannot really categorize it.
If you think that God is not a mind in the way that like you and I understand what a mind is, then it's just not the case that I think that such a thing can't exist. I think that it's possible that there could be a timeless, spaceless something, as long as it doesn't have a mind, as long as it doesn't have a will, it doesn't have agency, it doesn't make decisions, it doesn't have thoughts. Fine, that thing could exist. It's just not a God.
So a mind cannot exist outside of time?
As far as I'm concerned, yeah, that seems impossible.
Yeah, simplistic explanation. All right, that's an interesting perspective. Could you provide me with another one? I mean, that's a pretty good argument.
Yeah, so there is this notion that if a God exists, then it knows all true things. But what we can say is that if we try to formalize this statement, and I'm not going to go over the precise formalization because it's a little bit messy, but if it's the case that not only does God know all true things, but God makes things, but because God exists, those things are true, namely that God is the ultimate truth giver. Things are true because of God, not just separately. They're not just separately true. If that's the case, if God is that kind of being, then we run into like a formal proof that such a thing cannot exist. So whatever God is, it can't be the kind of thing that makes things true, that makes all true facts true. The argument relies on something called Tarski's undefinability theorem and formalizing the truth predicate in a formal language. It's a little bit involved, but this is to say, if the God that you believe in is the God that makes everything true, like, you know, things are true because that God makes it true, then that God doesn't exist. And it's a result of the fact that it is impossible to define formally the property of truthness, or of truthiness, essentially. And it's a little bit technical, and so I wouldn't typically offer that one, but you asked for another one. There's another one about a God being God having free will and also being divinely simple. If God has free will, then God's will is contingent. If God is divinely simple, then God's will is identical to God. And so if God has free will and if God is divinely simple, then God is contingent. But God can't be contingent, because then it would be contingent upon something if you accept the PSR. Otherwise, you're accepting a brute fact, in which case, why not just accept that the universe is a brute fact? So there's just a few arguments that are kind of formal. But as far as I'm concerned, the one that's the most intuitively powerful is just that a mind can't exist outside of time.
Yeah, that's a great argument, and I follow it logically. But like, can I provide you like one argument that I like for the existence of God?
Yeah, sure.
I mean, the one that you have also discussed here, but I really want to just like have a one-to-one conversation about this. The cosmological argument, of course, you're familiar with it. What could you say about this? Like, of course, everything must have a cause, and
both premises should probably be rejected. We don't want to say that. So the cosmological argument is just that everything that begins to exist. I assume you're talking about the Kalam, right?
Yeah.
So the first premise is that everything that begins to exist has a cause. So we need to talk about, what do we mean by begin to exist? Do we mean that like begins to exist out of nothing? In which case, there's no examples that we can think of things beginning to exist out of nothing. And so we don't have any reason to accept the first premise based on induction. We don't have any experience with things beginning to exist out of nothing to say that they must have a cause. Secondly, it just doesn't seem like it's agreed upon scientifically that the universe began to exist. Neither of them seem, so it seems like we don't have any good reason to accept the first premise, and it seems like the second premise is not accepted empirically. So we probably just don't have any reason to accept the conclusion either.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. I mean, another argument. This is not a great argument, but I also like to hear what your thoughts are about this argument. Do you believe in like objective morality as a whole?
I don't.
That's great. Neither do I.
But look, since you're not a theist, it's best, like, you will hear my arguments against these things that you're suggesting in conversation if you just stick around and watch. But I do have to let you go because this is supposed to be a debate space.
Thank you for the conversation.
Of course. Thanks for being here. All right, let's bring up the next guest. Let's bring up somebody named Theist. Theist, how's it going?
Hey, I had a question.
Okay, I have lots of questions, but before we get started, do you believe in God?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, now why should I believe in that God?
Many reasons, like the universe can fail to exist. But I just want to say something really quick. I talked to allegedly Ian yesterday, and he said that you're breathing universe.
Oh, you're Matthew
entropy.
Davids. Matthew, get out of here.
What?
The guy who spoke to Ian yesterday about my paper was Matthew Davids. He just changed his name because I told him that I'm not going to bring him up because I spoke to him 2 days ago. From Nobody X Challenger with the $5, are we any closer to submitting the physics of throwing it back in a circle in a peer-reviewed journal? That paper's out. That paper is called A Breathing Universe is Consistent. It exists on the internet. It's been peer-reviewed, it's been published, it was accepted into classical and quantum, a journal called Classical and Quantum Gravity, which is a pretty good journal. You can go check it out on my website. If you go to, actually, I will just, you know what I'll do? I will do the thing where I will shill for myself while answering this question. One moment. So my website is pretty easy to find. In fact, I would argue that it is the easiest to find because it's literally just my username. It's Blitz. Go to blitz.phd. No .com, just Blitz, .phd, you'll get to my website. And if you get to my website, I'm going to move this. If you get to my website and you navigate to the research tab right here, you can click on it. I actually just updated my my website yesterday. And then you can scroll down and you can look at the publications. And if you scroll down to here, you'll find A Breathing Universe is Consistent. And if you click on that, it'll take you to the paper. And then you can click on View PDF all the way over here. And this is the most up-to-date version. This is the version that appears in the journal. And you can just read it. You can just read the damn thing. So go to my website, check it out. And while you're there, make sure that you scroll all the way down to the bottom. All the way down to the bottom. And you check out these links that say support me. Have you ever wanted to fund a scientist? Now's your chance. Anyway, let's we have one more super chat from Super Pizza with the $5. This guy is asking about your arguments. I wonder, where can I find all these debate notes for a small price per month? That is a great question. I'm so glad you asked, Super Pizza. If you go to any of these monthly subscription places, like Patreon for $5 a month, or TikTok for, I think it's $5 a month, or Twitch for $5 a month, or YouTube for $4 or $5 a month, depending on which channel you subscribe to, you could get access to those wonderful debate notes that have these arguments in them. Thank you for being so inquisitive. All right, let's bring up another guest. Let's talk to 999. Sorry, I do have to shill for myself occasionally. 999, how's it going?
Hey, it's good. How are you?
I'm doing all right. 999, do you believe in God?
So I don't, and you can totally kick me. I just wanted to, a couple of conversations ago with the guy who is somewhat a global skeptic, I had some thoughts about that I wanted to bring up, so I was wondering if you'd be willing to debate a bit about that, even though it's not strictly theism.
No, and I probably shouldn't have even kept him on for that long, to be honest.
Okay, no worries.
Take care. All right, let's bring up Samuel Dean. I'm a Samuel. Samuel Dean, how's it going?
Hey, I don't know if you remember me or not. Does my audio sound okay?
It does, and I don't. Sorry.
Okay, well, I just want to say that you and we had a great conversation last time. I just wanted to ask you some questions and everything, and I'm a Christian, you're an atheist. I just think we have really good conversations, and I just have a question for you, and I'd like to hear your thoughts on it.
Yeah, sure. That's totally fine.
So what do you think about the theory, or I don't think it's a theory, I think it's the scientific law of angular momentum?
It's cool. It's really rad.
Yeah, I think, okay, so basically for those in the chat that might not know what that is.
It's the conservation of angular momentum is what you're referring to.
Yeah, that's what
Hold on, before you continue, I just want to, a physicist is only a few letters away from a psychic, so I'm just going to do some psychic magic here. You're going to bring up how the Big Bang was a spinning dot, and therefore everything should be spinning in the same direction from the conservation of angular momentum, and yet Venus is spinning in the opposite direction, and Neptune or Uranus is kind of spinning in tilted in a different direction, and yet that is impossible given the conservation of angular momentum. Am I correct?
I don't like you right now, but yeah. I just wanted to actually hear your thought on that, though. Like, why do you think that is then?
So yeah, let me. Absolutely, I can help you. I can help you get access to my thoughts on that. One sec. Let me just pull something up. Okay, so here we can just do this.
Destroy the Big Bang Theory right now.
This will not go well.
The Big Bang Theory says that from a little swirling dot, something exploded and then created the solar system.
It's never wise to get your scientific information from a man on a stage walking in circles, and this is no exception, because of course his description leaves a lot to be desired. The Big Bang wasn't a swirling dot, as swirling implies rotation with respect to something, and dot implies emptiness around it. And the Big Bang says nothing of the sort. Rather, the Big Bang, as described by the scientific community, states that the entire universe, meaning all of space, was in a very hot, very dense state 13.8 billion years ago. And then, for reasons perhaps still not understood, it expanded. Often this is described as the observable universe, universe being the size of a pinhead or a beach ball or what have you, but that just depends on how far back you try to wind the clock. Regardless, though, this isn't just surrounded by empty space. We have good reason to think there's more universe beyond the observable universe. Now, the question of whether or not the observable universe was swirling 13.8 billion years ago is still up for debate, but most cosmologists would contend that it wasn't. And this is something that can be checked with modern observations. If, on average, there is no preferred rotation amongst galaxies, then the early universe wasn't swirling. Now, there was an analysis done a few years ago that seems to say that there is a preferred rotation, but as far as I can tell, this is an observational outlier and is not the consensus. Anyway, this wasn't an explosion. Rather, the entire universe expanded, and a lot of steps are being left out between the Big Bang and the solar system forming. Something like 9 billion years worth of steps.
But space has no gravity.
What? Basically, all space has is gravity. That's why the Earth orbits the sun, because of its gravity.
So if the dot is swirling, right, and something exploded, that means everything else in the solar system should be spinning in the same direction.
This is actually some fairly good intuition, and I'm a bit impressed. He's intuiting the conservation of angular momentum, which is absolutely a thing. But what he's missing is that in order for angular momentum to be conserved, you don't need that everything is rotating or spinning in the same direction as the source initially was. All you need is that the net rotations agree.
Yeah, but there are planets that spin in...
Does that answer your question?
Yeah, that did. Thank you for that information and everything. And that was a conversation I did want to have to you about, but you have a great comeback for it. So just to confirm, the Big Bang wasn't necessarily an explosion, it was more of a rapid expansion, correct?
Yeah, sure. That's a fair characterization.
Okay, well, I would love to come back and debate you, but I really like to prep things up before I do that. But
so you should go watch that video, so you can at least know what I'm gonna say.
Yeah.
That's how I knew what you were gonna say.
Yeah, but basically everything, I'm gonna try to maybe hopefully dish up another debate that I can find some more foreground on, and then I hope to pop back into your live, but you have the equivalent of a blessed day.
I appreciate that, Samuel. Take care.
All right, you too, man.
Yeah, I think that a lot of theists found out about angular momentum as a result of that video. So it wasn't that far of a reach. All right, we have a super chat from Game Master Flash with the $5. Hey Blitz, sorry, Dr. Blitz, fair, I appreciate the honors. Thanks for living my personal nightmare every day. Is there a plan for if the OMB gets implemented or to prevent it? What is the OMB? What is the OMB? I know that that's the Office of Management and Budget, but what? Are you talking about the budget proposal by the Trump administration? If there's a plan for that, there's no plan for that. No, you just suffer, I guess. From Mike B with the $5. Lol, no bunk science claims from me, just automotive electronics design while listening to precepts get wrecked. Well, look, I'm glad that you're one of the good ones. All right, let's bring up our next guest. Let's talk to Hannah FJH8. No, FJH. I can read. Hannah, how's it going? Are you there?
Do you hear me or?
I can hear you now. Great.
Oh, okay.
Perfect.
Okay. Yeah.
Hannah,
I just want to ask you.
do you believe in God?
Okay. Yes, I believe in God.
Okay. Why should I believe in the God that you believe in?
Why do you not believe exactly? Because atheists have different reasons to why they become atheists. Like some reject God.
I've been an
of,
atheist for as long as I can remember.
Okay.
And the reason why I don't think a God exists is because the idea seems like silly Iron Age mythology.
Really?
Yeah, I mean,
What's so silly about it?
I mean, like, if we're talking about the God that was believed in by like the ancient Hebrews from 2,500 years ago, they believed in a literal dude who had a penis that was like a superpowered guy. You know, they thought that iron could conquer him and defeat him. If we're talking about like the God of the Greek influenced Christians, that God seems to like carry a whole bunch of internal inconsistencies, like the notion of the Trinity, which doesn't make any sense. The notion of a mind that exists outside of time, that seems to be completely incoherent to me. If we're talking about like some sort of simulator of our universe, well, it seems like that just wouldn't even be a god. It would just be a guy. So, you know, there's a lot of reasons. Depends on the god. They all seem kind of silly, though.
Interesting. So I think that there's different factors. There's no, for example, I feel like it's in the instinct of humans to believe in a god.
Yeah, that could be true.
Because we as humans, we need to believe in something, you know?
Well, at least we have that urge. We have the urge to try to understand what's going on. And I agree that we definitely have that urge, and we try to fill that urge with, or fill that desire to understand what's going on. If we don't know what's going on, we often do it with the supernatural. I agree. That doesn't mean that it's real.
Yes, and there has been many people who have tried to understand why do we have this need to believe in a higher power, in a god, okay? And they've used science, they've used history, there is like evidence. So for example, like, so I have a question. So what argument would make you want to believe in a god?
If I knew them, and if they were convincing, then I would already believe. That's what your job is to do. Your job is to provide the arguments and then see if they convince me.
So I think the aspect of morality is one of them.
Yeah, like what? How does that work?
Like for example, in this life, a lot of people don't get what they want. It's very unjust, you know? So I believe in that there is a higher justice.
So, I mean, this seems like doing that thing where, like, because, I mean, it's not seems like, this is exactly what it is. You're saying the world is unfair, but the world has to be fair, so there must be some higher justice. Or the world could just be unfair.
So, because if you look at the world, if you look at everything, there's always one thing and the contradiction of it. If there's, like, for example, love, there's hate, there's pain, there is peace, there's always two things of everything. So it only makes sense that, for example, when someone, like, everything you live...
So there's red, and then there's what? What's the opposite of red?
So that's a color.
Yeah, you said for everything. Colors are a thing.
There's no color.
What?
That's an opposite of color, is to not have any color.
But well, that can't be the opposite of red, because that would also be the opposite of blue. And blue and red aren't the same thing, and a thing's the opposite of the opposite should be the thing itself.
If you look at the circle of colors, red is all opposed to some other color.
So you're telling me that red is the opposite of blue?
Well,
or whatever it might be.
No, it's
orange is the opposite of blue, or green is the opposite of blue. So if you take red and you combine it with green, you're telling me that you're telling me that you get nothing?
You have to look at the principle, not a certain detail.
Look, I just don't think it's true that everything has an opposite.
Yeah, no, there is, because color.
Okay, what's the opposite of infinity? Sorry, yeah, what's the opposite of infinity?
Something that's finished, you know?
Okay, what's the opposite of zero?
The opposite of zero?
Yeah.
I guess infinity or something.
But I thought the opposite of infinity is something that's finished.
Well, isn't zero finished?
I don't think that numbers are finished.
Well, zero is nothing, and infinity is everything, is a lot. So it can be it has to be the opposite.
Yeah, but like a trillion is a lot too.
Sure, it doesn't contradict what I'm saying, is that in everything you see in this world, there's always something that seems to be there. We always have something in pair of it.
Okay, so what is the opposite of potatoes?
The idea is that is to not have potatoes. I don't know. It's not like...
So just lack of potatoes? Lack of potatoes isn't a thing.
Yeah. No, you have to understand there's always
one thing. Lack of potatoes doesn't exist in the universe.
It lacks I don't have potatoes in my room right now. So it's lacking right now in this place. but it exists in
So would you say that you have the lack of potatoes right now? That's a thing that you have?
I don't. So the idea is that are you disagreeing with the idea that there isn't this idea of contradiction of everything?
Yes, I'm disagreeing with that. I don't think that that's true at all.
No, it's true.
I've given you like 5 examples.
You just disagree. No, the examples you gave are wrong.
The examples are
example
counterexample. What do you mean they're wrong? What's wrong about saying that a potato doesn't have an opposite?
No, I said the existence of potato and the existence of no potato. Like,
okay, but that's not an opposite. That is a lack, right?
But you're talking about.
So to be clear,
an object.
good is not, or evil is not the lack of good. Evil is the opposite of good. The lack of good could also be the lack of evil. It could just be neutral, right?
Yeah, the contradictions you can always argue that.
No, but you're making a mistake here. You're making a mistake in reasoning. You're conflating. You're saying that good and evil are, you know, they're dual to one another, which fine. Good and evil are dual to one another, fine. But they're not dual to one another in the sense that a potato and the lack of a potato are dual to one another. This is a different kind of duality. So which one are you using? Are you using the opposite notion of duality, or the lack notion of potato?
I didn't give the example of potato. I was talking about the duality. You did, yeah.
Yeah, but not everything has a duality in the sense that good and evil have duality.
I think that the idea is that there is dualities, there is pairs.
Sometimes, yeah, not everything has a pair.
Most of the things that we experience in life, I think.
Okay, potatoes. Potatoes, I experience plenty, but they don't have pairs.
Potato?
Yeah, I experience potato all the time. They're very yummy.
You're not, I don't know, it's like, okay, but we have different, I don't know, they have different types of food, I guess. I don't know how you got this example of potato because it's irrelevant to where I was going for.
Yeah, but your claim is that everything has this duality and potatoes don't.
I just can't think of the opposite of that.
There is no opposite of a potato. Potatoes don't have opposites. Not everything has an opposite.
No, there is. The idea is when you're talking about an object, you have to talk about the existence of the object. That would be the opposite of it. It's the not existence of potatoes.
Yeah, but that's not the opposite. That's the lack, right?
Yeah, but that's a contradiction, a contradictory to existence.
Okay, but so look, you're making a claim that there's a duality, not just a lack. Like good is not like the lack of good is not the same as evil.
Yeah.
So
I guess I was
duality
talking more
is different from like the lack of a thing.
The comments are making me a problem. So, like I said, there's always, I've noticed that's just an observation that I've made in my life, that I've seen things be opposites. You know?
Some things have opposites. I agree.
Yeah, maybe I looked at things that are very
greed and charity.
Yeah,
those are opposites. Good and evil are opposites. Light and dark, kind of opposites, but probably closer to one is the lack of the other.
Yeah, for example, life, there is death that justifies life. For example,
arguably those are kind of just, one is just like, well, okay, no, death would be the opposite of life.
You know, things like that. So for example,
so I agree. Some things do have opposites. They do have like this dual nature, but not everything does.
Of this, it gives me the idea that if there is this life here, there's gonna be if there's this life that's unjust here, or that people are, for example, doing evil here, that there's gonna be a life out after. That's where they get, for example, punishment for what they did here, for example.
But if we've already established that not everything has an opposite, then why would we think that applies to the universe? Why would we think that applies to like this life here?
I guess it's not, when I said everything, I didn't mean by that like literal things like potato and tomatoes. You know what I mean?
Okay,
we
so
don't compare.
what about what is the opposite of the taste of sugar?
The taste of there's other tastes. Like not
There are
every
other tastes, but they're not opposite to each other, right? There's sour, there's bitter, there's umami, there's I'm missing one. Aren't there five?
You
Five
don't
prime
think,
tastes?
for example,
But none of them
they're
are
not
opposite to each other. No, I don't think so.
They're just different.
Yeah, they're just different.
Yeah.
And so the point is that some things have opposites, even like experiences. Like we experience love, you can experience hate, you can experience sweet, but there isn't an opposite of sweet. There's just like other flavors, right? You can experience sweet, you can experience salty, sour, umami, any of those things, but they're not opposite to each other. So this is just to say not everything has an opposite, even the things that we experience. So it's not clear to me that even like this life would have like a dual nature. So in this life, not everybody gets what they deserve, and that in some other life, everybody would get what they deserve.
That's just part of it, you know what I mean? Part of how I believe God created this world is that they
But why should I believe that that's true about the world? That's the question.
Because, I mean, do you for example, look at someone who's suffering in life and just think, okay, that's what they get and that's it?
Unfortunately, yeah, that is the world that we live in.
But it doesn't have to be if you believe in a God.
Well, yeah, and if I believed in like, you know, the realm of the fairies, I could hope that the fairies will come out from their mushrooms and fix everything that's going on in this world. But believing it doesn't make it true.
Okay. Let me think. So I think that I started my argument from my own experience, but then of course there's even evidences from religion that proves that there is like a God.
Like what?
Like I don't know, like for example, you talked about the Big Bang just recently, and apparently it needs some sort of a power for it to happen.
Why?
Yeah, because otherwise it needs a very strong power for the Big Bang to happen.
I don't know what you mean by strong here.
Like for example, in your house, for example, if you heard like a loud noise, are you just gonna think it has no cause?
Well, it could be my cat knocking off you know, I don't know.
You're gonna think it's logical to think about a cause, right?
Well, yeah. So I mean, we could argue that perhaps the Big Bang has a cause. It doesn't mean that it has to be like strong or something.
No, because I'm not a very scientific person, but
then let's not talk about science.
Yeah, but I have read some things where it says like there is it required a lot of electricity or energy when the Big Bang happened. Are you like do you have any information about that? Because you just brought it up.
Yeah, I mean, like, look, it's just not like we don't know what caused the Big Bang. We don't even know if it had a cause. It's not clear that the Big Bang was even the beginning of the universe. So there's like there's a lot that we don't know. So it doesn't seem like any of this would get us any closer to a God.
No, it doesn't mean there's no God.
But it certainly doesn't mean that there is a God.
It could mean that because, like I said, there is energy that was used. Like if you look up, and I'm not like if you look into the Big Bang, you will realize that. Yeah, there's no energy. There's no energy that happened in the Big Bang when it happened.
I don't know what you're asking.
Because like apparently there was like two forces that were very like that came together.
No, it's completely unrelated to. Look, I'm just gonna give you the opportunity to talk about something else rather than talking about science, because like you said, you're not big into science, so it's probably not worth talking about that.
Okay, well, I personally believe in God because of the aspect of morality, and because I read, for example, into religion, I look into the proofs that they give, and I think it's valid.
What about morality? What aspect of morality?
Morality, the aspect that I told you, that people, that for example, God created this world and sent messengers and books and religion to organize people, to give them morality, to teach them how to live in a way that aligns with morality that was given by God. You know what I mean?
But like, why should I think that? Like, what aspect of our experience are you saying is best explained by God existing?
Because God is the most knowledgeable, so he's like, he knows more what morality we should follow. Because humans, they change morality all the time.
So Hannah, I'm curious, what is the name of the God that you believe in?
I believe in the God, the creator of the universe.
Okay.
God.
So do you believe that Jesus is that God's son?
No, I don't think God is a human, for example.
Okay, so do you think that that God sent the archangel Gabriel to a prophet named Muhammad?
Yeah, that
okay. So you think that the morality that we get from, say, the Quran is the morality that we really want to be following?
Yes.
Okay.
I think so.
Do you think that it's generally a good thing to have multiple spouses, to, you know, have many wives? Do you think that's moral?
I understand it, because morality of Islam is like the principle of Islam is that there was reasons. For example, in
well,
back
so
then,
then it seems like the morality is just not particularly. It seems like the morality is not particularly set in stone if it changes with time.
No, the principle that what Islam says is that one wife, for example, is more than enough. That's what the Quran, for example, says.
Okay, but then why did Muhammad have multiple wives?
And before Islam started, people could have that. It was the norm.
I agree. So if Muhammad was the person, who was told all of the
right, yeah, but marriage was not always seen.
I agree. So why wasn't Muhammad doing the thing that was good?
Because marriage was seen as a political and economic thing.
So just to be clear, was it political? Was it political to marry a 6-year-old?
It made sense for that time, because if you look into, for example,
I'm sorry. Look, this morality is supposed to be objective, right? It's supposed to come from God.
Yeah, because
so why does it depend on what time it is?
Yeah, because back then people were different than today. Like the principle.
So the morality changes. The morality changes from time to time.
Okay, for example, if we're talking about marriage, yeah, and the legal age of marriage.
Okay, so
what God says.
Right, so Muhammad married a 6-year-old, but only consummated the marriage when she was 9.
Just hear me.
So is it moral? Was there ever a time in human history where it was okay for a 40-ish-year-old man to have sex with a 9-year-old? Was that ever okay?
Islam says that there is 4 principles before.
Why are you avoiding the question?
Yeah, I'm coming to the question.
Okay. I'll listen, as long as you promise that you're going to answer.
The principle is this, is that there is 4 criteria for marriage, okay? For someone to be legally married.
Number one, we're talking about having sex with a 9-year-old, though, not just marriage. Not just marriage. Okay, go ahead.
4, yes. The principles are like, number 1 is that bulugh. Bulugh means like someone is biological puberty. Second is consent. Third is no harm. And 4 is mental capacity. So these 4 are the criteria of Islam when it comes to legal marriage, legal age of marriage. So before Islam, there was laws that were put by the Roman law and the church, the written laws that still exist if you look them up. Those laws, they fixed an age that was legal age of marriage was 12.
So okay, so just to be clear, you think that Aisha met all those criteria?
Yes.
Okay, so you think that Aisha was fully developed,
yes,
a fully developed woman?
Yeah, if she wasn't, she wouldn't be, because in Islam we have the Quran.
She was a fully developed woman. Do you think that a 9-year-old can consent?
Because you're seeing women of today as 9 years old. Like we're looking at 4 criteria.
No, I'm just asking. Like humans haven't changed much in 1400 years. I'm just asking, can a 9-year-old consent?
Because you're looking at, I don't know what a 9 years old in 7th century was like.
They were still 9 years old. They existed for 9 years. Do you think a 9-year-old can consent?
Because like I said, Aisha was not a child, because when you look at
she was
Islam,
9 years old. That sounds like a child to me.
Yeah, but she contributed to 90% of the hadith that we know. Like I don't think a child would contribute to this much in Islam. I don't think adults would take.
So she was a smart, right? So maybe she was a smart child, Still a child, though.
She was even contributed legally, like
Yeah,
she was
super
even
smart
solving
child.
people's
Look,
social...
there are kids who go to college when they're like 10 years old.
She was even participating in war. She was
Look,
like
Hannah,
going to helping people.
Hannah, hold on.
She was
Hannah,
capable.
Hannah,
Listen,
chill.
we're looking
No, listen.
into...
I have to mute you. I have to ask you a question because you've been rambling. Look, there are some kids who go to college, like who go to grad school when they're like 10 or 11 years old, right? Do you think it's okay to have sex with that kid just because they're so smart? You can unmute yourself.
I said there is a principle because like when you look at the other laws, they just put a fixed age. I don't even think 18 years old is necessarily capable of marriage, okay? Because when
Maybe
you just
not,
put
but surely a 6-year-old isn't.
Yes, you can say that if you want, because you're looking from today's perspective.
So
But
look,
my idea...
I'm just saying, if your position of morality makes it okay for there to be at least one example of it being okay to have for a 40-plus-year-old man to have sex with a 9-year-old, I think that your sense of morality is probably askew, and it's probably not the correct one that comes from the divine creator of the universe.
No, because you're not understanding the principles, though.
The principles make it okay to have sex with a 9-year-old. That's crazy.
Well, if there's no harm on the person, if she can consent, if she has mental
9-year-olds
capacity...
can't consent.
Because you're looking at 9 years old of today.
There are no 9-year-olds in
those...
history that can consent.
But so why were everyone was marrying people at 12 years old back
because
then?
They were disgusting people. Taking advantage of children. Yeah. If they married and had sex, if you have a 30-year-old man marrying and having sex with a 12-year-old, that's disgusting. And that's taking advantage of a child.
Well, that means you just hate everyone. I don't think everybody was just all of them were pedophile. Everyone.
I guess my morality is more objective than yours. I think it's always wrong to have sex with a 9-year-old if you're 54.
No, because marriage was not seen the same way as today. It was seen as something that gives women rights, because outside of marriage, she's not going to have one. It was seen as a way to give her stability, physical stability and financial.
Yeah,
because
it just comes at the extent of raping her.
Not like it's not considered rape because people
you might not consider it rape, but that doesn't mean it's not.
There was no teenager life. There was no adult life. It was like child.
She was 9. That's a child.
Listen, if she was like, I don't know, if she was just a child, I don't think they would take her ideas and.
You think that she did that when she was 9?
I think that she was young and she was like participating in war. She was like physically.
Yeah, you know who else participated in war? Joan of Arc, Jeanne d'Arc, the very famously 14-year-old girl who participated in war.
Listen,
it's still possible to rape a 14-year-old girl even if they're participating in war. Okay, it's still wrong.
Okay, so now the legal age of marriage is 18, okay? And a lot of people don't think 18 is enough to be married. So maybe in the future it's going to be 23, for example. Do you think people who are 23 in the future who are going to be...
I don't know where you should draw the line between like 16 and 30. There are places in the world, like I think the UK has an age of consent of like 16, and that's probably low. But like, you know, most of the developed world where we have like, you know, laws against these kinds of things, most of the developed world has an age of consent that is at least 16. So I don't know, maybe the age of consent should be 25, maybe it should be 18, whatever it might be. It definitely shouldn't be 9.
No, because in that time, the age of marriage was just based on puberty, you know? That was the case for everyone in Africa, in Middle East, in Asia.
Yeah, and that turns out wrong. Because the ability to give consent is unrelated to your physical development.
Okay, but that being said, if everyone back then used to think that the age of marriage is based on the puberty, okay?
Yeah, and that was wrong.
Islam just added something. It says instead of just puberty, we need to add consent, and we need to add no harm, and we need to add, for example, mental capacity. And I think that in principle makes sense. And then,
how do you determine if somebody is old enough to give consent?
Listen, back then, the people were
You're not
like
gonna
just
answer the
right
question.
now, for example. No, it's not like that. It's just
Then
that
answer the question. How do you determine if someone is old enough to give consent? What are the criteria?
they can reason. They can make a difference between right and wrong. And I feel like Aisha could do that because
Wait, hold
she
on.
was
Just to be clear, 5-year-olds can know
Yeah.
the difference between right and wrong. That doesn't mean they can consent. By the way, just a quick question. Hannah, I just have a quick question. If you think it's possible for 9-year-olds to consent, do you think that 9-year-old children should be allowed to decide to transition genders?
I don't think today's 9 years old is the same as 9 years old of back then.
Humans were the same 1400 years ago as they are today. In fact, women matured at later ages 1400 years ago than they do today. The age of puberty amongst women in particular has been decreasing over time. So people went through puberty at a later age. It's absolutely true.
No, it's not. People back, if you look up like in the desert or in high temperature areas, women, they get maturity earlier. If you live in a high temperature area, you get your puberty early.
Let's find this data.
Okay.
So here I have one sec. Here you go. Here's a chart. I love charts. Charts are great. Charts are great, especially for people who are trying to promote pedophilia. So studies suggest a steep decline in the age of first menstruation menarche from around 17 years old in the mid-19th century to 13 years or younger more recently.
Can you look up a graph in Middle East?
Yeah, sure. I can go see if I can find one. We might not have data on that though. But to be clear, this includes Portugal, which is a hot place.
So that means that everyone was wrong about but
yes, that does mean that.
Like
unfortunately, that's exactly what that means, or fortunately, perhaps.
But yeah, but that being said, everyone was just following what was morally correct. Like right now, everyone thinks 18 is the legal age. So who says maybe
that's the agreed upon age? Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, so that means we're all wrong if, for example, in 10 years or 20 years or 100 years, the age of marriage becomes, I don't know, 30, then they're going to look at 18 like they were
Yup,
infants.
and we would have been wrong if we come to if humanity comes to the consensus that actually like the brains of an 18-year-old are like not sufficiently developed to evaluate the long-term consequences of their actions, then we would be wrong. That's just by the way, I'm not finding any plots about like in desert places.
Yeah.
So like I'd love you to provide your source for that claim. That'd be really good.
Yeah, so are we gonna act like, for example, everyone who's married right now, 18 years old, are they also pedophiles?
If that's the conclusion that they come to in 1,000 years, then sure, they will come to that conclusion, absolutely. And maybe they would be right, but we don't know that right now. So maybe we're disgusting. Maybe we're disgusting because 18-year-olds are actually like actual babies.
But is it fair to think that we're all disgusting just because we're doing something
so
that
to be
we
clear,
all agree?
my view, so I'm not a moral objectivist. You are. So I'm not required to care about what other people think. I think that it's always wrong to have sex with a 9-year-old. That's my view. If somebody else wants to think I'm disgusting, fine, they can think I'm disgusting. But that's my view, and so I don't care about what other people think about me, what other people think about my views. I judge other people based off of my values. It sounds like, but you're trying to come at this from an objective point of view, and so it sounds like you can't objectively say that it's wrong to have sex with a 9-year-old.
No, it's wrong today. I even think 18 years old is not
it objectively wrong to have sex with a 9-year-old?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so can objective things change over time?
It's not, because the rule is not 9. No one in Islam makes the rule that there is 9 years old, that you have to marry someone at 9.
Are you sure?
There's no rule that says you have to marry someone at 9.
Well, nobody's going to say you have to marry someone when they're 9, but are they allowed to marry people as young as 9?
You're not understanding me. My idea is that in Islam, there's a principle. There's no number fixed. You have to marry someone at 9 or 8 or 12 or something, okay?
Look, I'm not sure how reputable this source is, but I don't know, man.
Iraq is the country. It's not a religion.
Under Iraq's new law, girls can legally marry from the age of 9 in certain circumstances, depending on religious interpretations. This is a religious thing, not a legal thing.
Okay, but that's Iraq.
The law gives religious authorities, this is a Muslim country by the way, the power to decide on family matters, including marriage, divorce, and child custody.
Iran is a country that even Muslims don't agree with.
This is Iraq, not Iran.
Like those who are like Shia or I don't know, like extremists, we don't agree with them.
Yeah, I don't agree with people who think that it's okay to have sex with 9-year-olds either.
No,
which is what Iraq is doing, by the way.
I never said that it's okay to marry someone or to.
You
have
gave an
sex
example
with
of at least one case where it was okay to have sex with a 9-year-old.
The idea was a principle to go with. It's not. The principle was never an age. That's what I'm trying to say.
Well, yeah, and I think that principle can never be satisfied. I don't think that principle can ever be satisfied in a 9-year-old. And it's crazy to me that you think that it can.
Well, if you have the case where you see it all in front of your eyes, then would you change your idea about that?
Sorry, one more time?
Like I said, that principle, as long as it satisfies, as long as it checks for someone, then it checks.
How do you check if somebody can consent?
No, she's capable of consent.
Yeah, how do you check? How do you know?
Like, she's consent freely. No one is pushing her.
How do you know that? So I mean, like a 6-year-old today could say, "Oh yes, I consent," but that doesn't mean that they can actually consent, right?
She doesn't have mental capacity.
Okay,
today,
how do you know? So how do you check if somebody has mental capacity to consent?
Because back then, just like for example, science today has improved a lot, and people's brain also developed a lot. Back then, they already, for them, marriage was just this institution that you're just gonna get married. Like there was no, it wasn't considered like some.
Yeah, by the way, we're not really talking about like just getting married, like as a legal thing. We're talking about having sex, by the way.
So, do you think it would have been okay if he had sex with her when she was 15, for example, or 18?
I think that if she was like 16 or 18 or 25, that would definitely be better. I mean, he was still really old, so that's gross.
It wouldn't be.
If she was 25 and he was 54, I'd still be like, ew, gross. But at least she knows what her decisions are.
Looking at it from your moral side from today, even though you say you're not an objectively moral whatever, but
yeah, I don't use objective morality, by the way.
You're still making a moral idea from today's.
So I'm not able to find any. So by the way, can you provide me a source that she had gone through puberty, and B, that children in the desert in, say, Saudi Arabia went through puberty far earlier than they do today? Can you provide me any sources for that?
I mean, just high temperature people, like even Africa.
Give me the evidence for the claim. Please.
Maybe look
I'm looking, and I'm not finding anything.
African countries.
I'm looking, I'm not finding anything.
Look, okay, let me see.
Apparently, a friend of mine has sent me some Islamic jurisprudence book from 1,000 years ago that says that puberty is also found at the age of 15 years old. So even 1,000 years ago, they found puberty at the age of 15.
Oh my God. That rule was made because the principle, the idea
well,
is that...
wait, hold on. Then how do you know that Aisha had gone through puberty at this point, when she was 6?
Because every woman is different. Some women...
Well, how do you know that she had gone through puberty when she was 6?
She had puberty when she was 9.
How do you know?
Because she said it herself in the hadith that she herself narrated.
Did
she? Yeah.
Did she?
Yes, in hadith, because hadith is everything that the
Sorry, you've triggered my trap card.
What?
Ems, how's it going?
Hey, what's up?
So
the book I sent you was essentially it's saying that the average age, it's talking about child marriage, and it says that the average age of puberty would have been 15, and it is talking about the book's time period, which was 1,000 years ago, and that doesn't prevent it from occurring before. So it is telling you that the average happens at 15, and the average today is much lower, so you know that it has actually went down, not up.
Okay. Like I said, the principle that we have is based not on a fixed age.
The principles you said don't exist. They don't exist.
How come they don't exist?
Could you show me in the Quran or in the Hadith in which they do exist?
The first is like I said.
Puberty. Could you show me where it says that you have to have hit puberty?
Legal, like by bulugh.
Yes,
No,
where does
because
it say
this is
that? Where does it say that? Go ahead.
this is what the scholars agree on.
No, they
There's
don't.
four
The scholars
principles.
don't. The scholars don't. The scholars say the opposite.
They say the opposite, yeah.
Yes, and they even say Aisha was prepubescent when she had sex with the Prophet.
Yeah, I know that she was before because even for example,
You said that she had. You said that she herself said she had gone through puberty when she was 9, and now you just agreed that. Now you hold on. You just agreed that the Prophet had sex with her when she was prepubescent.
No, she was 9 when she was but the marriage happened before, at 6 years old.
Again,
marriage happened at 6 years old.
Happened, sure, both of which happened when she was prepubescent.
No, marriage happened at 6.
Yes, according to Shafi'i, he says, you know what? Let me. Blitz, can we have her read it herself?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
What's the? What should I pull up? Oh, where'd you go? Where'd he go? He's a native Arabic speaker, which is why it's useful to bring him up because he can actually read this stuff. I don't know where he went, but there he is. Welcome back. What do you want me to pull up?
Okay, so the idea is that we can't.
I sent it to you. Just
okay.
Put it on the screen.
Yep, I will open it. Let's make this big. All right, can you read this for us?
Could you read from, like, when it says قال الشافعي?
قال الشافعي, where is it?
رحمه الله تعالى لا بأس.
رحمه الله تعالى لا بأس أن يجمع بين امرأة ورجل وابنته من غيرها. قال الشافعي فإن قال لما زعمت أن الآباء يزوجون الصغار قيل يزوجون أبو بكر صلى الله عليه وسلم وهي بنت 6 أو Yes, I know that 7.
Continue reading.
وبنى بها صلى الله عليه وسلم وهي بنت 9 فالحالان اللذان كان فيهما النكاح والدخول كان عائشة صغيرة ممن لا أمر لها في نفسها ولكن where did you
translate? This is كتاب الأم by Shafi'i. Could you translate what you just read?
Yeah, but there is a hadith where she herself narrates. You know
sure,
that.
go find me that hadith because it doesn't exist. Number one. Number two, could you translate this before going and finding the hadith? Could you translate what you just read?
Well, according to what's written here, apparently فالحالان اللذان كان فيهما النكاح والدخول كان وعائشة صغيرة ممن لا أمر لها في نفسها وزوج. It says here that she wasn't in consent.
No, we can translate what is said. Don't interpret what is said.
Yeah, I'm just saying. What is فالحالان اللذان كان فيهما النكاح.
Let's translate that. Yeah, translate that sentence.
So in the two cases where there was the marriage and the consumption. Aisha was young and ممن لا
no, she was prepubescent who had no say upon herself.
Yes, that's what it says here. But I don't know what the source is. What source is this?
This is Kitab al-Umm by Shafi'i.
But I don't know. That's not really how what I saw.
You said the scholars agree. Show me the hadith. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, let me look it up. Hadith of Aisha.
Not only was she prepubescent, she also didn't consent. That's rough.
She had no say. It was ordained by God. Like, what was she gonna say? No.
Good point.
So Aisha narrated that she. Can you look Sahih Bukhari? Because that's the one we look up. Shafi'i we don't see.
This is Al-Bukhari.
Shafi'i is not a book of hadith.
Book of marriage. Hadith.
The number?
Hadith 5133 and 5134.
Okay.
Yeah.
If I just Google Sahih al-Bukhari 5133, I should find it, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So here's I want 5133. And then we can go look at 5134 in a minute. So here's what we have. I'll show the English in a minute. Hopefully you can read this. I don't know if it's visible.
Yeah, we can. I know this hadith. You can show the English if you want.
Okay, so here's what the English says.
The Prophet married her when she was 6 years old, and he consumed his marriage when she was 9, and narrated by Aisha, as you can see above.
Yeah, so this doesn't say anything about
She
her
herself-
consenting or about her being pubescent.
Yeah, but at least everything we know about her and her relationship with the Prophet was narrated by her. Like the fact that
Sure.
it's like if people were,
And
if she was just
doesn't
this
say that
child,
she
I don't think
consented.
they
By the
would,
way, here's
like-
here's 5134.
Well,
That the
if
Prophet
she
married her
doesn't
when
think
she was 6
consent,
years
she'll
old,
say
and he
that.
consummated his marriage when she was 9 years old. Hisham said,
And
I
we
have been
also
informed that
know
Aisha
that-
remained with the Prophet for 9 years till his death. So, like, where does it say anything about consent?
I think even before she got married, she also was fiancée to someone else, or she was gonna be married to someone else.
But where does it say anything about consent?
The fact that she said she is the one telling everything about her relationship with the Prophet. If she
Sometimes
was-
people write bad
she
things
knew-
about themselves.
Well, she never read anything bad about.
No,
that
she did.
thinks
She
it's
did.
Bad.
No. She said he hit her before. Number one, number two.
No, she the time.
Yes, she has.
Listen, we know everything about the story of the Prophet and Aisha, and
Do you?
yeah, I know.
You do. So,
Yes.
So if I
And
ask
that
you around the
story-
event, you're gonna be able to tell me what happened.
The story of the hitting of with the toothpaste.
No.
Ems, what should I Google, or do you want to just send me a link that I can pull up?
It should be, I think, Muslim 974. If it's not Muslim 974, then it's Bukhari 974.
Okay. Sahih Muslim 974.
But you're gonna have the translation that says that he touched me, which I felt. So.
Okay, is it, correct me if I'm wrong, is it this one?
I think so. It should be long as fuck.
Okay.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you the story because I already read this, because I can save you the time.
He stood there for a long time,
Could
he
you,
then lifted
could you
his hand.
copy? Could you copy the Arabic and then have like the, like an
Yeah, I will. I just
AI
want to find the
translator
particular
system?
place where it, like, which, because it's really long. Is it at the end?
Yeah.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah,
Yes,
there
he
you
gave me a nudge on the chest, which I felt. That's always so funny. It's so remarkably
it.
funny. All right, I'm just gonna punch it into Google
But
Translate really quick.
that's not how you're supposed to read that. Like you're just gonna skip the whole story.
It doesn't matter what context does it give you to hit a teenager
No.
when you're like in your 50s.
Okay, I'll tell you the story and you will change completely your mind.
No, I know the story. You're not gonna. You don't even know the story. You
I
thought he hit her
know,
with
I
a
know that
toothpaste.
story.
Okay, so I just want to
toothpaste,
find
though.
the relevant bit. Yeah, so he then, okay, so it's probably, I could probably delete like all of this bit. And then I can probably delete this bit. And so we're looking at this word. So he then gave me a shove on the chest that caused me pain. So I can delete that. He struck me in the chest. Oh, this is getting awfully.
But you
What's
just,
this?
like,
He struck me in the
are you
chest,
just-
a blow that hurt me. Then he said,
Okay, but are you just gonna miss the whole chapter that you just? There was a whole story.
What context? Sure.
well,
what
there might,
context?
you're right.
I
There
will
might be
give
a whole story here that explains why Muhammad hit a 9-year-old,
No.
or
Okay,
however
I'll
old she
tell
was.
you.
She might have
Okay,
not been
can I
9.
just
She might have
speak?
been like
Can I just speak?
early
Because-
teens.
Okay, so the story was that Aisha and the Prophet were in their bed, and the Prophet left at night, and he started walking towards the graveyard. Okay, and Aisha, she started following him. She followed him to the graveyard, and the Prophet, when he felt someone following him, he also was like, okay, someone is following me. Let me just go back. Let me just go back. So when he came back to the room, he found Aisha like breathing heavily, because she also, when she saw him coming back, she also ran back home.
Mm-hmm.
So he told her like what happened, like what's happening, and she said, she told him that I followed you to the graveyard.
That is not what happened, though.
No,
was
that's
it the
what
dark?
happened, right?
Was it the?
That's what happened.
Well, I'll just pull up the. I'll just pull up the translation
And
here.
because the Prophet
Was
had
it-
like
Just said-
Was it the darkness of your
yes.
shadow that I saw in front of me? I said yes. He gave me a nudge on the chest, which I felt, which, by the way, we now know
Okay,
translates
read
to
what's
he
after.
struck me in
Read
the
what's
chest, a
after.
blow that hurt me.
read
So he
what's
gave me a
after.
nudge on the chest, which I felt, and then said, "Did you think that Allah and His apostle would deal unjustly with you?" She said, whatsoever the people conceal, Allah will know it. He said, Gabriel came to me when you saw me. He called to me and he concealed it from you. I responded to his call, but I too concealed it from you, blah, 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 blah. It seems like clearly what happened here is that she was following him. She was following him. He didn't like it. He comes back, asks if she was following him. She says yes, so he hits her in the chest.
No, because
it sounds abusive to me.
Because she kind of like was like not trusting him in that situation. Like, where did you leave?
And so he hit her. So he hit her.
No, hit her with what?
With his hand.
With his hand.
With the toothpick.
With his hand. No.
With a toothpick.
No, like he.
No. Blitz, do me a favor. Go take the word for strike, put it in Google, and then translate the definition in Arabic to English. It means
okay, so I gotta
with the collection of the fist.
I gotta find the. Oh, is it this first word here?
Let me see.
Balahadani?
I can't see it. Yeah, that one.
Okay. So according to Google, this says, so he shoved me.
No. Go to the Arabic definition, just paste it into...
Okay, yeah, I can do that.
Then translate the definition.
فدفعني, you know that.
No, this is فلهدني.
So,
definition.
No, that's not what it means.
What is the meaning?
He pushed me. That's what it means. Yes.
So
yes,
this is no. Let's just go use a website instead of an AI overview.
I speak Arabic.
You don't.
Means someone.
This is not دفعتني. This is not دفعتني.
Okay, that's
how ironic is it to say? Like I speak Arabic.
So I want to find the
too,
Quranic Arabic corpus. Is this a good source?
دفع, yes.
This is لهذا, not دفع. لهذا.
Okay.
We're looking at a different word.
Okay. Where should I go?
Is when you shake someone.
Egyptian Arabic dictionary? Probably
Show me
not
the word
that.
You looked up.
Up here.
It is. Yeah, you added all the extra words for no reason, so I'm gonna.
Well, I don't know how to do that. I don't have an Arabic keyboard. This is crazy. Like this whole thing is crazy. Maybe if I like, is it like a suffix that I can?
I sent it to you. It's lam he dal.
Okay. Okay. So is there a prefix that I can delete?
No, just remove. Just the word is like I think it was autocorrect.
Okay, I'll just punch it in here. To demolish. Damn.
Okay, but you're looking for words that just make.
Go to the definition in Arabic. Like, what is the definition of the word lat? It's in the context of like a person on another person.
In Arabic, the root generally means to push violently, press heavily, or exhaust.
Okay,
at least that's what the AI says.
So that's what I said in the beginning.
To push violently.
The idea was, listen, the point of that story to begin with.
Let me send you something too.
Let me tell you something. Why is she even telling that story in the first place?
Hold on. What did you just say?
Because the idea of that story was,
I'll send you something.
Don't go to the graveyard because it's dangerous, and that he was scared of her. That's fun. Yeah. Okay, but listen, we just don't have the same informations, and I respect all of you guys. Like, I understand your morality, I understand everything.
I don't understand yours in the slightest. I don't think that there's any I don't think that there's any world in which I could ever justify a 54-year-old man having sex with a 9-year-old. I don't think there's any world in which that could happen.
I understand that perspective in that time. That's why. That's the only difference. Because you're seeing it from today's perspective, and you're refusing to understand that they have.
I'm just understanding it from like I have certain values. Maybe.
They had good principles back then.
So
also,
maybe
even the fact that this guy even brought this verb,
Just a second, please. Could you control F and then the word that I sent you?
Yes.
To the girl who said, like, am I agreeing with corporal punishment? No, I don't.
Here, right?
Scroll down now. No, go further down. Yeah. No.
So this story.
The third mention. Just a second. The third mention. Could you copy the sentence it's in?
Okay, this mention here. And then this part. You can't see it.
No,
that part.
Yes. I'll copy the sentence below too.
Okay, so up to here? No, here.
Let me just quickly check.
Oh, to here? Sorry, it's too small.
What is this again?
I don't know. I trust Ems though.
Okay, so the first story he brushed it off, and that's not fair because that story I actually like it because it's
You like the
a
story where Muhammad hits Aisha?
because you look at one thing, you have to look at different
Look, I don't think
perspectives when you tell
it's
a
ever
story.
okay to hit your spouse.
Okay, but imagine, for example, you have.
Do you
a
think it's ever
partner-
okay to hit your spouse?
Just hear me. You can't hear me if you're not hearing the full story. Okay. Imagine you have anyone from your family going into a graveyard or going into like a haunted house. Aren't you gonna go to them and be like, "Hey, why are you going there? That's a dangerous place." That was the
Yeah,
whole story.
I might do that and then not hit them.
But because he was so scared for her, that was the
He
only
was so scared
situation
that he
in the
abused her.
entire marriage. No, he did not, because that
He
means
hit her.
that word means pushing, to shake someone. So
Hold on, hold
that's
on.
not hitting.
This,
That
by
guy
the way,
kept looking
I'm just
for that
showing
word.
you what is you right now. One sec. There's just an audio that we got. Hold on.
You said at the beginning that the morals are from
I
God.
did not
and
hit
now
her. It's not
called
true.
Islam.
It's bullshit.
that's-
Not true. It's bullshit. I did not hit her. I did not.
That's you right now.
That makes me sound like memes. Okay, that's funny.
Well, that's what you're doing. I mean, well, or rather, that's what you're saying. Muhammad said.
I sent you.
Listen,
I sent
I
you a
am
different word.
not.
Could you
I
Okay.
am aware of how society looked at things today.
So I controlled
I'm
F the
just
thing that
saying
you sent me, and it didn't. Nothing came up.
So I'm gonna send you a different link.
Okay. Oh, hi, Mark.
Oh, hi, Mark.
So funny.
Struck by her husband. No.
Does it work now?
Let me see. Okay, so then copy and paste the thing that you sent me and do Control F. Yes, there is one. There is one.
Now copy that entire sentence and put it in.
Okay, so copy the entire sentence until the colon, right? That's like the period equivalent.
No, just continue. Like it wouldn't hurt. Just take a.
Okay, I'll just take the whole thing. I'll just take the whole thing and put it into Google Translate. Yeah. He struck her chest with his clenched hand, a blow that caused her pain, and then asked, "Did you think that Allah and his messenger would deal unjustly with you?" Meaning, did you think Allah and his messenger would wrong you? So it seems like it caused her pain. He hit her.
And how was the hit? It was
It's
with
the
his-
clenched hand. That's rough. And yet,
I did not hit her. It's not true. It's bullshit. I did not hit her. I did not. Oh, hi, Mark.
indeed, Mark, indeed.
Okay. Well, you know, sometimes it's no matter how much you try to tell a story, like if
story
someone
doesn't
wants
matter.
to look,
Yeah, the
make
thing is-
you
the thing
look
is,
bad, they're gonna make you look bad.
Hannah.
No.
The thing is, the
What-
problem, the thing the prophet was upset with, was the fact that she was following him, not that she's going to
in
agree.
the middle of the night
That
and
is
the
idiotic.
graveyard,
Yes.
and the end of that story
It
says
doesn't.
no. The idea,
Go ahead.
listen, because we
Go
both know
ahead.
that story, and we both know that the reason why Aisha was telling that story to begin with was to introduce this dua or this prayer to say before going to the graveyard to protect you from whatever is there in the graveyard. That was the idea behind the whole story. Like,
Sure.
and the idea, and the reason why she had to emphasize the pain was to really show that the prophet was so scared for what could happen to her in a graveyard that he is saying
So,
you can't
would
go
you,
to a
Hannah,
graveyard.
would
It's
you be
really
okay?
dangerous because
Okay.
there's things in graveyard
Would you
that you
be
don't know
so?
they are there.
Wait.
That was the
Would
idea
you,
behind that
would you
story.
be okay? Would you be okay with
Mm.
your husband, instead of saying what you just said, hitting you really hard to get the point across? Like, for example, you just communicated that to me without being able to hit me.
No,
I
the
think if
prophet
you
usually,
added the beating,
prophet,
I would have
he's-
understood
he
it better.
spent his entire life communicating well with everyone. Okay.
So then why do you
But
have to
when
punch
he's
her?
I'm asking you a
scared-
question.
But once in your life, if you're scared for someone so much that you're so scared that you had to like shake them, you had like, hey, what
That-
are
yeah,
you doing?
that-
You
by the way,
can't go there.
just so you know,
Can you not?
Hannah, that's called
Can you not
domestic
speak?
violence, by the way. That's
No,
called
it's-
abuse.
Okay, well, if you want to look at it, just
That's
don't
the
know.
word that we use to describe that.
yeah, sure. It is okay. fine.
Hannah, I'm gonna let you go. I hope that your home is safe. And Ems, always a pleasure to have you. Any last words before I let you go too?
No, that's all. Thank you so much. Alex.
Of course, take care. He was itching to come up. He was itching to come up so much. And you know what? Like, he deserved it. Like, he had all the references. I'm just writing down some notes. Crazy defense of Aisha violence. Those are my notes for that conversation. All right, let's read some super chats, and then we can move on to our next guest. From Dr. Fudge with the $10, I work in EE, and one of my coworkers insists the inverse square law is stupid and makes no sense. They also insist red lasers can't burn blue objects, among other things. Your coworker should not be in EE. From Jack Fetter with the $5, quite the flex by pre-bunking a caller by citing yourself. A tad anticlimactic, but flex nonetheless. Yeah, that was about a previous call, but that was funny. From Super Pizza with the $2, hey, I never lack potatoes, Blitz. Well, I do sometimes, and then I'm sad. From Gretchen with the $3, pretty sure the purple ones are the evil potatoes. Ah, yes, that makes sense. From Jack with the $5, by the way, if you didn't catch the first half of that conversation, it was completely unrelated to Aisha being abused, which is just crazy how it took that turn. From Jack with the $5, the opposite of a potato is a fallacy. The menu clearly states no substitutions. From Empiricist with the $2, oh, look at the time, it's crime o'clock. From Dr. Fudge with the $5, if I recall correctly, those hadiths were way later than the consummation, when she was in her 20s or something, so around a decade later. Yeah, that sounds about right. From Super Pizza with the $5, oh, I get it. The age of consent is the opposite of potatoes. That's why she thinks it doesn't exist. Oof. That's a big oof. From Jack Fetter with the $5, geez, Atheist Friday took a hard turn left from potato to redacted in like 15 minutes. Yeah, it did. Tell me about it. And from Doxon Greenlight with the $2, trap card, a hero emerges. Well played, Doc. Yeah, no, I mean, like, it was a Pokemon, or it was a Yu-Gi-Oh reference, obviously. From Pensive with the $20, very much appreciated, as always, Pensive. I've been waiting for Ems to appear and shut this down. Yeah, the thing about Ems is that he's like a thermonuclear bomb. And, like, you can't just drop those willy-nilly, right? You gotta wait for the right time. From Rodblow Alres with the 50 Mexican dollars, why Allah have to be okay with BS at any time? What's the benefit of having an all-knowing, out-of-time being that has nothing to say about PDF BS? Yeah, that's a good point. God's outside of time. Why does he have to be okay with it now? Or then? From Juiced Vandenover with the €5, after this horrible call, we should also remember the Quran is the perfect book, but we need an entire bookshelf of hadith to explain the book. That's true. That's true. Apparently, we need lots of explanations for the perfect book. All right, we have a whole bunch of guests that are all waiting to come up very patiently. Ems has a theme song now? Hold on. Is this AI? Oh, it's long.
Yeah. Somewhere on the internet again. Another apologist talking wild. Dr. Ems, report to the scene.
It may very well be AI swap though.
Yeah. Did someone post the Ems bat signal again? Is there a Muslim on the call being ignorant?
Might be. That's catchy though. I like it. From Robert Gould with the $20, super generous of you. I appreciate you so much, Robert. This Muslim color just showed why most atheists dislike religion. It spreads horrible ideas and makes believers defend the indefensible. Religion is not a benign force. It spreads racism, sexism, ignorance, and intolerance. Yeah, so that's the issue, right? Okay, so it was AI generated, but the lyrics were written by a person. So, make of that what you will. All right, we have a bunch of guests. Let's bring up the next one. Let's bring up WB Peter. WB Peter, how's it going?
It's going good. All right, so I believe in God. I grew up a Christian, but over time I've started to become kind of agnostic, but there's still a little bit of things that I have to be convinced on to become an atheist.
Okay, like what?
First off, well, I don't believe in objective morality the way most people do. So I believe in moral emotivism. Well, I mean, that last entire argument, your whole premise was that what she was saying was disgusting. So, I mean, most of morality, there's not really an objective standard that we can use for every moral dilemma. Like sometimes people use utilitarianism, sometimes people use Kantian deontology. But when you look at how people respond to moral situations, it's basically just how they feel about it. Like
Yeah,
just
sure.
based on
Okay,
how we
so
grow up.
But wait a minute. To be clear, you said that like there's like something that's stopping you from calling yourself an atheist. What's the thing that's stopping you from calling yourself an atheist?
Yeah, so I was explaining, I do believe in a little bit of moral emotivism, but I also I'm kind of believe in teleology, which is the belief that things have purposes and final ends. So kind of everything has a purpose. Like, our ears, they don't have a random, like they actually have a purpose.
So you can, the distinction that I like to make is a distinction between purpose and function. So purposes are generally given by a purpose giver. They're like intentional, whereas functions don't have to be intentional, right? And so we can say that ears have functions, but I wouldn't say that,
I believe in
that ears have purposes. Oh, it has the gain turned up? Oh, okay. No, the gain's normal. Everything's normal. Yeah, so...
I'm not a Christian, but...
No, that's fine. So it sounds like that, like, deontology is just the problem that you have? Like that it seems like things have purpose? Oh, where'd he go? Did I just disconnect? Can you hear me? All right, he's close to being an atheist anyway. So we only have time for perhaps one more caller, so I'm just gonna let him go. From Censored, which is very much appreciated, with the 65 Swedish kroners. To be fair, being outside of time is a pretty good excuse for pedophiles. Ooh, I hate that. I hate that a lot. All right, let's bring up a guest from Discord. Let's bring up, I don't know who's been waiting the longest. Let's bring up Michael. Michael, can you hear me all right? Michael? Michael? All right, it looks like Michael's not here. Let's bring up Gabriel Cheyenne. Or Gabriel Chain? Gabriel Chain, you gotta unmute yourself, but you are currently on the show. All right, let's bring up a guest from TikTok then. Let's bring up No Trastic, or Not Rastic. Not Rastic, how's it going?
Hey, it's going well.
Glad to hear it. Do you believe in God, No Trastic?
I believe there is a God. I don't believe in any theistic God though. Like I don't believe in a religion.
Okay, so what is the property of the gods of the God that you believe in?
I think that the only thing I know that he has done is he created the universe, because I was atheist before. A few days ago, I heard this argument. It's too compelling. I don't want to be agnostic. I don't want to believe in a God, but this argument, it was just
okay.
Like,
let's hear the compelling that just brought you over just a few days ago.
There are absolute truths in the world. Like if I look over, I see a tree. No matter what language or perspective I see it, there is a tree there. That's an absolute truth. But those absolute truths need an absolute source. And I think
how do you know that that's
lost.
an absolute truth? That the tree is there? Couldn't you be hallucinating?
Possibly, but
so then how is it an absolute truth?
I believe it's an absolute truth because everybody else could also see this.
Couldn't everybody else be hallucinating?
Possibly.
So then it can't. How is it an absolute truth?
I'm not sure, but
so how do you know that there are? I mean, like I agree that there are propositions that can that are self. There are propositions that are kind of almost by themselves prove themselves. Things like thoughts exist. Like that's I don't think that can be false. But I'm curious why you need a truth giver in order for the statement thoughts exist to be true.
Well, do you mean thoughts exist by like we're talking to each other, we're thinking, therefore we exist in some sense?
Well, so what I mean is that like even if I'm hallucinating everything, the hallucinations themselves are thoughts.
Yes. Okay. I understand. I think I don't think it's needed. I just think it is more logical to think that than
that there's a truth giver.
Yeah, I think it's more logical, coherently logical, to think that there's an absolute source.
Would you be surprised if I told you not only is it not logical, if you try to formalize this claim that there is a source, that there is a thing that guarantees all or you know is the source for all true statements, that you can actually prove that such a thing cannot exist?
Interesting.
And this is only the case if you're using like formal logic. If you're using some sort of like you know, some sort of non-formal system, then maybe you could wiggle your way out of it. But if you try to like formalize this in a logical system, then you will find that that no such thing can exist.
I understand.
A truth giver to all truths, if you will.
Oh.
I can give you the simplified version of the syllogism if you'd like.
No, it's okay. I understand. Thank you. I'm easily swayed in this sense because I don't want to believe in a god. I think that's all. Goodbye.
Okay, fair enough. Thanks for being here. Somebody said, Blitz put video and make expression like a 10-year-old, but clever to use ResearchGate. What? Where are we using ResearchGate? What? Hold on, I gotta go find this person. Oh, you can't come up. Oh, that's so sad for you. Bro follows me too. How embarrassing. All right, let's bring up. I can't even read that. The font's weird. Bree 3 Nabi, maybe is what they're trying to convey.
Hi, wait, can you hear me?
Yeah, what's your name?
I'm Brenna.
Brenna, okay. Nice to meet you, Brenna. Brenna, do you believe in a god?
No, but I will be, just to clarify, you are a Gnostic atheist, right?
Sorry, what?
You are a Gnostic atheist, like a hard atheist?
No, I'm just convinced of the position. I'm not certain of the position, I'm just convinced of it.
Can you explain a little bit more in depth what that means exactly?
Yeah, like there are things that I'm convinced are true, even if I'm not certain that they're true. For example, I'm convinced that my wife loves me, but like, I could have hallucinated the entire last 15 years of my life, and so I could be wrong about that.
Okay, so that said, do you think that there's any evidence for there not being a god, or is this more of a position of
yeah, I think that there's plenty of evidence for there not being a god. But look, you're not a theist, so this is not really the place for you. But thank you for being here. I've spoken with Crusader Knight so many times, I'm not going to bring him up. Sorry, y'all. Crusader Knight. Don't. Oh my god. This is so triggering. You know what happened last time we had a conversation, Crusader Knight? You know what happened last time? So I was getting ready to put the conversation that you and I had on YouTube, right? Because you had a horrible performance. But then I re-listened to the conversation, and I'm like, you know what? I don't think that he's like intentionally this way. I think he's just stupid. And I don't want to punch down on stupid people who are stupid through no fault of their own. That's why I didn't post your clip on YouTube, my guy. I don't know why. I don't know where this confidence came from. But that's not it. All right, I'm going to bring up another guest. That was literally a conversation I had about my wife because I'm like, or I had with my wife because I'm like, I don't know if I want to, you know, like punch down so hard. Like, I feel like it would just be being mean to somebody who doesn't deserve it. So don't, that confidence is coming out of nowhere. Anyway, Adam, how's it going?
Great, how are you?
I'm doing all right. Adam, do you believe in a god?
Yeah, I just have a question for you first.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, you say you're an atheist, right?
Yep.
Yeah, why you ask for people to convince you of their God?
Because if it's true, I want to believe it.
Yeah, but why? But you already taken position.
Well, yeah, so I believe that there isn't a God, but I could be wrong about that. And so if I am wrong about it, I want to know about that.
Then why didn't say you are agnostic?
I am an agnostic, and being an atheist, those are not mutually incompatible. Agnostic means that you're not certain. Well,
Yes,
although,
not certain. Yes, that
so
makes sense.
I don't claim
You are not
certainty.
certain.
I don't claim certainty. So do you have an argument that might convince me to believe in a God?
No, give me a second.
Okay, yeah, go
You
ahead.
say, I'm an atheist.
Yep, I am an atheist. I don't believe in a God.
So you're an atheist, you already take a position.
Yeah, my position is that God is not real, and I think I have good reason to believe that. But I could be wrong.
Okay, then if God doesn't exist, then why are you asking people to ask you to believe in God?
Well, because if I'm wrong, I want to know about it.
Then why you took position?
You can take positions and then also recognize that you could be wrong about it.
No. You're just playing with words now.
That's very dumb, Adam. That is remarkably dumb. So I take the position that my wife loves me, but I could be wrong about that. She could have been a paid actor for the last 15 years.
Okay, then. Okay, why did you marry her?
Because I take the position that she loves me. I think that she does love me. But I could be wrong about it. That doesn't mean that I don't think that she loves me. It's not how that works. You can think that you're right. You can think that you're right about something, but recognize that you could be wrong.
Okay, but did she give you any reason to think that you're wrong?
No, she didn't, which is why I'm confident, which is why I have a high degree of confidence, but I could still be wrong.
Give me a second. If you already take a position of an atheist, and you think that you probably are wrong, then there must be something there makes you feel that there is something wrong to begin with. Otherwise,
I'm just humble. I just recognize that there are a lot of things that I could be wrong about because I could be mistaken. I could have incorrect priors. I could be misunderstanding some argument. I could be misunderstanding the world around me. There are a lot of things that I could be wrong about, and I recognize and I'm humble about that in that respect.
Okay, then what's pushing you to this life to ask people to convince you of their God?
It's an interesting conversation, and apparently a lot of people think I'm wrong. And so what are the odds that I'm actually right and they're the ones that are wrong? Well, maybe the odds are high, maybe they're low, but it's at least an interesting conversation that's worth having. But it doesn't seem like you want to have it, Adam, so I'm going to let you go. All right, let's read a super chat or two, and then we'll bring on our next guest. From Inky Waste with the $2, do you dig into other sciences or stick to physics? I mostly stick to physics, but I dabble a little bit in like geology and biology just for these kinds of conversations. All right, let's bring up John Bazcowie. John Bazcowie, how's it going? Or is it Bazcowie? God damn it. I'm not even doing politics. All right, let's talk to Derry Shribman. Derry Shribman. Derry Shribman, how's it going?
Hi, doing fine.
Glad to hear it. Derry, do you believe in a God?
Yes.
Okay, I don't. Could you give me the reasons why I should?
I assume you would, under definitions, that God is everything, meaning the X, Y, Z, and T, the timeline.
So then you and I are just disagreeing about what the word means. So this sounds like more of a semantic dispute than anything.
It's the only thing that exists, which there's only one of, and everything else is a split of it. So that's the
okay. Thanks
definition
for being
of
here,
one
Derry.
God.
Let's talk to Pedro or whatever. Pedro or whatever, how's it going?
What's up, bro?
Not a whole lot. Do you believe in God, Pedro?
Yeah, I do, but not a specific type of. I can't tell you what God is.
What properties does it have?
What properties does God have?
Yeah.
That's even hard to tell you. I'll be honest.
So then what is it that you believe in?
I believe that either all of us are somehow connected. How can I really express and prove that to you? I really can't. And I think that's most.
Okay, but what does that have to do with God?
Well, what I'm trying to say is like you're a real intelligent person. It's kind of like.
Well, that's
main
lovely,
thing I was
but
kind of wondering is how do you have these conversations with people when you know that all of it is really rhetorical for you? Any questions that you are asking them, it's all faith based.
Well, that seems like a maximally uncharitable perspective of what's going on here.
You kind of right. You kind of right. I ain't gonna lie.
Okay, well, thanks for being here. All right, let's talk to user 160. User 160, how's it going?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. How's it going?
Doing good, about you?
I'm doing all right. User, do you believe in God?
Yes.
Okay, and which God would that be?
I'm Muslim, so I believe in Allah.
Okay, why should I believe in that God?
Okay, so I'm gonna come at it a little bit of a different, angle. Do you know what idealism is?
I do. But I'm just making a prediction. The prediction is that you're going to come at it to try to prove that a God exists first, rather than trying to prove that the God of Islam is real first, right?
Because I think that the God is the God of Islam.
Is that the route that you're going to take? Okay, great. I'm glad that my psychic power is working. Yeah. Okay. So why should I believe that a God exists at all?
Okay, so yeah, because you know that you have the hard problem of consciousness. It's
Yeah, so
very
do you.
difficult. How?
Can you explain how consciousness arises?
Yeah, because I believe that consciousness is fundamental.
Okay. That doesn't explain like how consciousness arises. It's just an assertion. It doesn't explain anything.
Yeah, but then it gets rid of the hard problem of consciousness because
No,
you
it
don't have to
doesn't.
explain how
It just
it
doesn't
arises.
explain where it comes from. You just assert that it's there.
No, the hard problem of consciousness is trying to figure out how physical processes produce subjective experience.
Well,
Like
I
you
mean,
say
the
that
hard problem of
subjective-
consciousness for idealists is what is the origin of consciousness?
Yeah, but then you could say, what is the origin of matter? Like,
Yeah, you could, and that would be a reasonable question.
Yeah, it'd be the same thing. But if you want to get rid of the hard problem of consciousness, you just make it fundamental. Then you don't have the
That
problem.
doesn't eliminate the problem. That just pretends it doesn't exist.
No, it's a whole whatever. What you're explaining is a different problem. The hard problem of consciousness is trying to explain how physical processes.
Okay, then
can
whatever
produce
the name of the
subjective
problem is that you want to call it, you still can't account for how or for where consciousness comes from.
Yeah. Okay.
Right.
So then.
So neither of us can do that. So okay, seems like we're in the same boat.
No, we're not in the same boat.
Sounds like we are. Neither of
We're
us
not
can
in the
account
same-
for where consciousness comes from.
No, because you have two problems. You have the problem if you want to say that saying it is fundamental, you can't say where it comes from. You can't say where physical processes come from, and you can't say how consciousness comes from those physical processes.
Well,
I only have
hold
one
on.
problem. I only have.
To be clear,
I only say.
can you explain how physical processes come from the consciousness fundamental thing?
I don't have to explain how they come.
Okay,
Actually,
then I don't have to explain how mental processes
No.
come from the physical.
Okay, so, wait, hold on. I think I said that wrong. I do have to explain how they come.
Okay,
but I
so
don't
what's
have to,
the explanation?
But wait, hold on. But what I'm saying when I say I don't have to explain how they come, I mean in like a sense that I don't have to explain like what dark matter is. But I can like dark matter.
Dark matter is not a philosophical problem.
I know.
Dark
but,
matter
like,
is
I'm saying
perhaps a
when I-
physics problem, but like neither you nor I can explain what dark matter is. So
Exactly. This is more of a physics problem when you try to say like what physical process and consciousness. Because under idealism, we believe that physical processes. We believe that physical processes are what's called the way that mental processes look from behind a dissociative barrier.
that doesn't explain anything. It's just asserting what you think physical processes are. It's not explaining how you get physical stuff, which is a separate kind of stuff, from the conscious stuff. You have the exact opposite problem, right?
No, it's not. It's not the exact opposite problem.
It is the exact
Because
opposite problem.
We think that the physical stuff, the physical processes, we think that they are conscious, like they're
Yeah,
part
and
of
I think that, and if I'm a physicalist, I think that the mental stuff is physical.
Okay, wait, hold on. Okay, wait. Let me try to explain it a little bit better.
Please.
When you say that the mental stuff is physical.
Yep.
Yes, you have a hard problem of consciousness because you can't explain.
Yeah, and you have a hard problem of physicalness. You can't explain how
doesn't
the
work the
physical
other way
stuff.
around.
Yeah, sure it does.
Okay, wait.
Okay, so then
Okay,
what's the
so the
explanation? Where does the physical? So if the claim is that the physical stuff is different from the mental stuff, that these are different kinds of things, one is third person, one is first person, for example, then how can you go from the first person to the third person? If everything is first person.
But we don't say that it's third person. We say that.
Okay, so you're just saying that there is no physical stuff.
We're saying yes, exactly. Okay, there you go.
Okay,
That's a better
right.
one.
Okay, and I'm saying that there is no mental stuff. I'm glad we're in agreement.
You're saying there is no mental stuff?
Yeah, it's just all physical.
What about subjective experience?
It's physical.
Okay, then you have a hard. How is it physical? How do you have subjective?
Oh, I mean, so the subjective experience is just what happens when you have physical stuff arranged in the right way, of course.
So you believe that consciousness is emergent from physical processes?
And you believe that physical stuff is emergent from conscious processes?
I don't think that it's emergent. I think
you don't even think it exists, and yet it evidently does.
I don't. That's not. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that physical processes is how mental. I mean, yeah, physical process is how mental conscious experience looks from behind.
Yeah, so that's emergence. That's emergence. You're saying that this apparently distinct behavior of physicality, separate or this third personness, which is distinct from first personness, that emerges from the first personness in some way.
But no, wait, hold on, 1 second. Okay, wait, I see what you're saying now, but I don't think that's a problem because we don't have to explain. Like the only thing that we know for sure exists because consciousness, from an idealist perspective, you start with what you know for sure exists. You don't know that the outside world physical processes are how you believe they are because the only thing we have access to is our subjective experience.
How do you know that your subjective experience isn't a physical thing?
No, but I'm saying from an idealist perspective, you don't have the same issues that you do.
Well, look, from a physicalist perspective, we don't have that issue either. We just say, yeah, like the physical stuff exists. The physical stuff is all this. And that's the stuff that we know.
We're starting from a more primary position because the only thing that you know for sure is you're a subjective experience.
How do you know it's not emergent from the physical?
No, but I'm saying we're starting from the more primary base because we're using.
No, that's the claim that it's more primary.
What?
That's a claim that you have to justify. You're saying that this is somehow fundamental, that our subjective experience is fundamental, that it's not decomposable into something smaller, into something it can't be reduced. Whatever. That's the claim. That's the claim of.
Oh no. That's not what I'm claiming. I think you misunderstood me. What I'm saying is that the only thing we know for sure, only thing we have access to for sure, is our subjective experience.
Yeah, and that could be physical, or it could be non-physical.
It could be physical. Yeah, I mean, you probably think it's physical, but
and you think it's mental. You think it's ideal, whatever it is.
Yeah, we're starting with our subjective experience.
Yep, we have subjective experience. Now the question is that evidence for physicalism or is it evidence for idealism? And I make the claim that it's evidence for neither because we don't know what kind of thing it is.
No, okay, but that wasn't the question we were trying to answer. You were answering. You said how does first person experience or first person stuff turn into third person stuff?
Yep.
And then I asked you how does third person stuff turn into first person stuff? Okay?
And neither of us have answers.
Okay, now look, we both understand that the first person experience is primary to the third person things because we.
Oh no, I'm not willing to grant that.
So you don't think
that it's primary? No, it could be composite, right? It could be composite of the third person.
You don't think your subjective experience? You don't think your subjective experience is first person?
Of course, subjective experience is first person. That's kind of by definition what it is. But that doesn't mean that it's primary. That doesn't mean that it's fundamental.
All right, so we're starting. Our starting point is first person. Can we agree?
Yeah, that's the way that we experience the world in a first person way. Sure.
Okay, so it's epistemically primary.
Okay, yeah, sure. Epistemically, okay, fine.
Yes, so
that doesn't mean ontologically primary though. So
okay, so we're starting from a more primary point.
No. Okay? It's not actually more primary. It's just like the way that we think about these things.
Brother, you just said that your subjective experience is first person. That's the only thing we have access to for sure.
Yeah, so it's epistemically primary. I don't have an issue with that.
Okay, so now we're starting from a more epistemically primary position.
Right.
And then after that.
But idealism is not about epistemic primacy of the mental. It's about ontological primacy of the mental, right? And those are two completely different categories. No. You can't use one to get to the other.
No, but for the question when you asked how does third person stuff turn into first person stuff, I'm saying that it's a more logical. I mean, it's a more epistemically logical to do first person, to go from first person to third person.
Okay, so what's the mechanism? How does it work?
Okay, I'm glad you asked. Thank you. We have first person experience, and we know that the world that we experience the outside world that we experience is not identical to the way it actually is. We know that for sure.
How do you know that? How do you know that for sure?
We know because there's even stuff like that you have illusions like your brain can play tricks on you.
So you're telling me that there's a thing that you can know for sure about the external world?
You can know for sure that it's not the way it actually is.
So there are facts about the external world that you can know for sure, is what you're telling me?
Yes, you know
okay,
that
so
it's
then
not
it, so then
actually how you
it seems like we don't have to rely on our first person experience in order to know things about the external world.
No, you can know what the external world is not using your first experience.
Okay, and those are facts about the external world that don't require the primacy of your first person experience.
Yes, but what I'm saying is that you know that the external world.
So if you can know things that it's not,
it.
if you can know the ways that a thing is not, then you can know the ways that a thing is. It's at least possible it's at least possible that you can know the way the thing is.
Okay, if I tell you that chair right there is not made of pixie dust, do you know what it is?
No, but it definitely narrows it down, right? And if you know all of the list of things that it's not made out of, then you do know what it is.
Okay, we only know one thing that it is not. We know that it's not the way we perceive it.
So it just seems like what you're granting now, and perhaps this is the case. Perhaps you just agree with this, that there are things that we can know about the external world.
We know one thing.
Okay. And that's so I'm glad that we're in agreement that there are things that you can know about the external world that don't require that aren't filtered through a subjective experience or don't require.
No, it does require.
I should rephrase. That aren't given uncertainty as a result of the subjective experience or of the subjective filtering.
That aren't given. Can you say that one more time?
Yeah, I can rephrase because that was poorly phrased. There are things about the outside world that we can know that are not made less certain because they are filtered through the subjective experience.
There's only one example of that.
Yeah, but if there's one example, then it's true that there are things. There's at least one thing that is true. That is true about the external world that is not made less certain as a result of being filtered through the subjective experience.
I would disagree with that actually.
Okay,
it is made less certain.
So you are not certain that the external world is not the same as the way that we perceive it?
God damn, bro. That's okay. Look, bro. I'll give you the one thing that we know for sure.
Okay. Well, if there's one thing, I don't see why there can't be more.
Okay, wait. Okay, that doesn't disprove my argument. My argument is that the external world is not the way that we perceive it. The way that we perceive it is.
Well, no, but your claim is that, and that's an absolute claim, right?
Yeah, that's an absolute claim.
Right, and so do we perceive the external world as not being the way that we perceive it?
Not. I mean, you have wait, no. You don't. You have to get help to get to that conclusion.
Okay, so this is something that we don't perceive about the external world. We don't perceive that it is not the way that we perceive it.
Okay, let me give you an example.
Yeah,
so
please.
Like you have so look, I think no, it is the way you perceive because you have
the external world is the way that we perceive it?
No. You do know that the external world, that is something that you know about the external world, that is not the way it is.
And how do you come to that conclusion?
No, because our perception.
So, okay, so we perceive about the external world that the external world is not the way we perceive it?
Yes, but there's only one thing.
Right, but that just sounds like incoherent. You're saying that there is a thing that we perceive about the external world that is the way it is, that is the way the external world actually is, and that thing that is the way the external world actually is that there is nothing about the external world that is the way that we perceive that is the way that it actually is. See how we're kind of like saying the same thing in opposites?
That's not giving you anything. If I tell you the chair is not,
it's not giving me anything. What it's showing is an incoherency.
How is it showing an incoherency?
You've given me a paradox. On the one hand, there is something about the external world that we perceive that is the way that we perceive it, and yet you're telling me that the thing that we perceive about the external world that is the way that we're perceiving it is the fact that there's nothing about the external world that is the way that we perceive it.
No, but I don't think there's nothing about the external world that is anything close to the way we perceive it. Obviously,
except that perception that there's nothing about the external world that is the way that we perceive it.
I wouldn't say nothing. I think nothing is a strong word.
Okay, how many things?
Nothing.
How many things?
Yeah, because if you see a chair, you know that chair, there's something like that's the way that the mental processes look from behind your dashboard. Like, you know, that's not the same. A chair is not the same thing as a light bulb.
Yeah,
like
sure.
Yeah, so like there's things that you can know about it, but it's just not exactly the way it is. It's not like.
How do you know it's not exactly the way it is?
Because like I said, like first off, you have the argument from evolution. Like evolution would make us into it would give us the perception that is best fit for us to like survive in our environment. It wouldn't give us.
Sure, but that doesn't say that our perception does not match onto reality. It just says that it's possible that our perception does not match onto reality.
Okay, and then also for example, we have optical illusions.
Yep, and so optical illusions would be examples of cases where we know where, or at least we think we know, where the perception is not the same as reality. But that doesn't mean that our perception is never the same as reality.
Oh yeah, but
like when I look at a chair, it could be that the chair is actually exactly as I perceive it.
Okay.
Right? Like that could be. You haven't ruled that out.
It could be, yeah.
In which case, that would give us evidence. If that is possible, then that means that it's at least possible that the physical is indeed the fundamental.
Why?
Because what we perceive it as is physical. We perceive it as the physical. Now, the claim is that we perceive this thing as physical. It's not actually physical. It's just like kind of a representation of the mental. But we perceive it as physical.
Yes.
And so if it's possible that the way that we perceive something is the way that it actually is, and we perceive something as physical, then it's possible that the way the thing actually is as a physical thing rather than as a mental thing.
Yeah, but the argument is not like, it's not that you know 100% for certain that everything you see is not the way it is. It's the argument that that's the most likely position, because evolution would not evolve our brain.
I don't think it follows that evolution makes it less likely that we're perceiving the way the world actually is. I suspect that evolution would make it more likely that the things that we're perceiving are accurate representations of the way the world actually is.
Okay, so for example, like a fly, does a fly see the same way that we see?
No, but they see the same things that we see. And I don't know if flies even have perception. Like, I don't know if they have like ways to evaluate things. I don't think that they're sophisticated enough. But like, if they see a chair and we see a chair, we're both seeing the same physical chair.
Yeah, but how does it look?
I don't know what it looks like to be a fly.
It definitely doesn't look the way that when I see a chair, it doesn't look like it. And some animals, they see like thermal.
Wait, how do you know? How do you know that?
I'm just thinking because like this is gonna be like bad evidence, but like from like National Geographic, they have like a thing that the scientists they show you like how it looks to be like a fly.
Look, so we have two eyes, but we only see one image. Why would we think that because a fly has like 100 different lenses that it would see 100 different images?
I'm just saying from like with the things that I've seen, like they don't see. But also we know that other animals.
I mean, to be clear, you don't genuinely believe that there is anybody who knows what it's like to perceive from the viewpoint of a fly, right?
I think they can make approximations.
How could you ever approximate what it's like to be a fly?
I think they take like the eyes and like they shoot light through it, and
all that doesn't get you to what it's like to be a fly. That gets you to the physical stuff. It doesn't get you to what they perceive, to their subjective experience, if you will.
Whoa, wait. So you agree that subjective experience isn't physical stuff?
This isn't an internal critique of what you just said, by the way. So I'm assuming the subjective view.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay, but still, you know, some other animals they like they go through the world. They see with their they use their smell to see.
Well, they don't use their smell to see. They use their smell to smell.
They like to move around the world.
But we still don't know what it's like for them to see, right? We don't know what's going on in their mind from your point of view.
Do you think every animal that sees the same thing we see?
I don't know what it's like to be a fly. I don't know what it's like to be a squirrel or a bat. I don't know.
Yeah. But like, do you think they see the same thing we see?
I have no idea.
Okay. I don't think they see the same thing we see.
I don't even know how one would even start answering that question.
Bro, aren't dogs colorblind?
They have fewer cones than we do, so we can see we can see a richer part of the electromagnetic spectrum than they can. That's true.
Okay, there you go. why did dogs evolve that way if it was best for them? Because you said it was best for evolution to let us evolve to see the world the way it actually is. So why would
No, I
dogs
said
evolve
for
that
it
way?
to represent the world in a true fashion.
Okay, I never said it wasn't true. I said that it's not the way it actually is.
Sorry,
And you
what?
said that evolution,
Sorry, what?
brother, you said, I'm quoting you now. You said that you think, I told you evolution evolves us it evolves us, like the way that evolution evolves our senses is to represent the world in a way that is best for like natural selection.
Yeah,
Okay, and you
and I
that
said
you think,
that I actually think that evolution would lead us to true representations of the world around us, meaning that they might not capture all of the information, but the information that they do capture is true.
okay, so when the dog sees the color red and it actually is green, and we see the color red and it actually is red,
it's still
which one
perceiving
is
the
true and
same.
which
It's
one's
still
false?
perceiving the same light that we're perceiving. Both of
Which
them
one
are
is true, which
accurate
one is false, then?
representations.
No, wait. You said in a way that is true.
Neither.
So which one is true and which one is
Wait.
false?
So these are. So look. So what is and I can just clarify here. The difference between what dogs can see and what we can see is not that there's lights that we can see that dogs can't. It's that we have more discerning eyes. So while we might be seeing the same light, the dogs won't notice the difference between two colors, for example, that we would notice the difference between.
Okay,
so
so
it's
now
just
I'm asking
that,
a question, bro.
so the distinction here is that there's nothing that the dogs are seeing that's wrong. What dogs are seeing instead is not the full story.
Okay, so is it true or is it false? Is the ball actually red or is it green?
So the representation that they're seeing is a true but perhaps incomplete representation of the way the thing actually is.
Okay, so that's what I'm saying. Evolution evolves us in a way that is
But
true, but it's
I don't think
incomplete.
I don't think evolution would lead us to, with perhaps a few exceptions, but this is possible. But I think that on the whole, generally, evolution would lead us to have perceptions that are perhaps limited, but the perceptions that we have are not incorrect, if that makes sense.
Okay, I never said they were incorrect.
So then,
said they're
the
limited.
things that we perceive are still true about the world around us. If you grant that,
No,
at least some of them would be.
They're true, but they're incomplete. They're limited, just like you said.
Yeah, sure. That's fine. How does that get us to idealism?
Yes, because like the way I think about it is like when you have a
And how
file
does
in your
idealism
computer,
get us to God, by the way?
Wait, one second, bro. Slow down. Like the way I think about it is like when you have a computer and you have a file. Evolution evolves us to see the file. The file is actually ones and zeros, 1 to 0, 1 0, 1 0, 1 0. Okay, you can see it that way. That's the real true way. But evolution evolves us to see it in a way that's best for our survival.
What do you mean
and
that's the
natural
real
selection.
true way? That's just another representation.
Give me 1 second. That's a good point. Okay, so let me go on to your next question that you said.
How do you go from idealism? Let's suppose that you've defeated me, that I have agreed that idealism is true. How do you then go from idealism to God?
Yeah, idealism necessitates that there's a universal consciousness.
How does it necessitate that? Why couldn't you just have a whole bunch of like reductionist conscious particles or whatever, and when those conscious particles
that's not idealism.
touch
That's
to each other?
That's not idealism.
So idealism idealism just necessitates that everything is mental.
Okay, so that's panpsychism and ideal. Oh, well, maybe I'm using the term wrong, but analytic idealism.
So I mean, maybe there's a formal definition that I'm not familiar with. Let me just.
I thought that's panpsychism. If you think that like
Okay,
the particles are.
So this is just I'm gonna pull this from. I want to go find a place that actually has a good definition. Let's do Stanford Encyclopedia. Okay, so idealism. I want analytic idealism. Okay. I think that here's one. So, the epistemological idealism ultimately entails a foundational of metaphysics. Okay, that's not what we will argue similarly that while epistemology can entail idealism on the assumption that the isomorphism between knowledge and the known must be in some sense necessary, and blah, 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 blah. This should be distinguished from the more general and extremely widespread view that our knowledge is always formed within our own point of view, conceptual framework, or web of belief. This view may well be the default position of much 20th century philosophy, continental as well as analytic. Okay, that's not what I was looking for.
This is idealism versus panpsychism. I think what you're describing.
No.
is
So
panpsychism.
I'm looking up for a specific definition of analytic idealism.
Okay.
Because I'm not seeing. I mean, maybe there's a definition somewhere that we can find, but I'm not seeing it on the Stanford Encyclopedia. And I don't want to use
What
Reddit.
does it say? What does it say?
It didn't even reference analytic idealism anywhere on the page under idealism.
Oh,
okay. So here's an article. Oh, this is by Bernardo Kastrup. Is that where you're getting your definition from?
Yeah.
Okay, so if you take
That's
Kastrup's
what I'm
definition of analytic idealism, then yeah, I guess. Let me see if I can find. I just want to see where he offers a definition. Does he not even define it? It's the name of the book. Where is the? How is this not at the beginning of the book? One sec. Let me just.
Brother, did you use ChatGPT?
And I'd rather not. Okay, the big picture. Alternative ontology. More ambitious. To point out the failures and internal contradictions of the very thought processes that underlie mainstream physicalism. Okay, that's what he's trying to do. The ontology articulated in chapter 3 can be summarized as this: there is only universal phenomenal consciousness. We, as well as all other living organisms, are dissociated alters of this universal consciousness, analogously to how a person with dissociative identity disorder manifests multiple disjoint. Okay, so you're saying that there's just one conscious and it dissociates into several. Now, why should I think that consciousness is God?
Because
the universal consciousness.
That's what I'm defining. Yeah, because it knows it's aware of everything. It
wouldn't be aware of everything in this sense. So at least if I'm understanding him correctly, and perhaps I'm not because I'm just cursorily reading this. This is Bernardo Kastrup's book, by the way. He says we as well as all other living organisms are dissociated alters of this universal consciousness, analogously to how a person with dissociative identity disorder manifests multiple disjoint centers of subjectivity, also called alters. Now, the important point is that the person with dissociative identity disorder doesn't know everything about their alters.
No. Wait, but universal
there is no person with dissociative identity. There's no single person with dissociative identity disorder. I guess is the point, right?
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, because
it's a little bit different. The universal consciousness doesn't know anything.
No, because the universal consciousness is like the brain with the dissociative alters in it. But like the person that doesn't know, that's just one of the alters. The brain knows all the alters.
But the brain doesn't know anything, right? The brain isn't the thing that can know.
I disagree with that. But I disagree with that. I think the brain does know. But if you have think of universal consciousness as the brain, and it's also conscious, just give me that.
But it doesn't have. But the brain doesn't have its own separate consciousness, separate from the alters, right? It doesn't have its own encompassing consciousness that the alters are just mere parts of. The conscious awareness of the brain is just the alters. It's just the alters one at a time.
Okay, then I don't know exactly how dissociative identity works, but the way that analytic idealism works is that the universal consciousness is the fundamental, that's the pool of all consciousness. And then we, individual people, we're dissociative alters, so we don't know. So
somebody in the comments gave something that might be a useful analogy. Would you say that the universal consciousness is like the hard drive, and then each one of us is like a little segment of the hard drive?
Can the segments of the hard drive, can the hard drive know what's inside the segments?
The hard drive just contains the segments.
Okay, but the segments don't know what's inside the whole hard drive. But the hard drive knows everything.
Well, I'm just thinking about okay, so Alex is saying you can say it's all information and an individual is a bundle of code.
Yeah.
Okay, is that the kind of view that you have?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, but information isn't like a thing that's conscious, right?
Okay, bro, but I'm not saying he's saying conscious information so that you can understand it. He's saying that in the sense of information on a computer, just the same way you said hard drive and like
so it's just
that's
not
like an
it's just not
example.
clear to me what it means for something to be for something that has its own identity to be composed of multiple things with their own identity. Right.
Something that has their own identity.
Like I don't know what it means for there to be a universal mind, but the universal mind is composed of individual minds.
It's not composed of individual minds.
Or rather has individual minds existing within it. I can't conceptualize what that would mean. But even if, by the way, even if this were the case, it's still not a god because it's not responsible for creating or grounding the universe, right? It is the universe.
Okay, yes, but this is kind of where not all analytic idealists believe this, but if you have a universal consciousness and you have the dissociative alters, they became dissociated because that's what universal consciousness is. Like that's a process that takes place in universal consciousness because there's nothing outside of it. So that's the argument I would use to say that it created everything.
So you have just universal consciousness. And by the way, I don't know, does time exist in this worldview?
No.
Okay, I don't even know what a consciousness is absent time. I have no idea what that means.
Bro, the same thing you have, the way that you're talking to me right now, what you feel right there, that's consciousness.
Yeah, but that's a process that happens in time.
It doesn't have to happen in time.
I mean, as far as I'm concerned, it does.
Like, you can't imagine.
I can't imagine a consciousness existing without time. Yeah. I think that would be closer to a book.
A book?
Yeah, a book. Like you could have we generally think of like minds as things that know things and so like books can know things in the sense that like you can write down facts in a book, but the book isn't doing anything, right?
I think that's why because I'm not thinking of consciousness as knowing or anything. I'm thinking as consciousness, just like awareness,
awareness sounds
like
it's a process. Awareness is like a thing that happens. It's not just a thing that exists on its own, absent time.
What Bernardo Kastrup said, I saw him in an interview. He said that the way that like phenomenal consciousness, you can think of it like if you were in a sensory deprivative chamber, like you had no taste, no smell, no touch, no nothing. You're suspended.
By the way, Kastrup's not a theist, right?
Yeah, I know he's not a theist.
Okay. So like it seems like I imagine that the ontology that he's promoting is probably not compatible with theism.
No, but like what I'm saying is that a universal consciousness is God, even if like they don't call it God, but it's God. Like you have a consciousness that is everything. It is aware of everything. Okay, what else do you need to have a God? Like, what's the definition we're using?
It should be the ground and or creator of the reality that we live in.
You can argue that it's the creator because everything
it can't be the creator if the reality is itself. A thing doesn't create itself.
Oh, okay, I see what you're saying. But then, okay, yeah, but it is.
So
it's the
it
reason
sounds
why
like look, I think that your worldview is probably compatible with what what's his name, Baruch Spinoza thought. Like Spinoza's view on God, the world itself is God.
Isn't that not exactly what analytic idealism says?
Well, that's why I'm saying it's compatible. But the point is Spinoza's God is compatible with atheism.
Bro, they're literally just switching words. One's calling it universal consciousness, one's calling it God.
Right, and that's compatible with atheism. The thing that you're calling universal consciousness is compatible with atheism.
Brother, but if you really think about it, how can you be an atheist and believe that there's a consciousness? Okay, there's a consciousness.
To be clear, I don't think that there is a consciousness, but that's neither here nor there. I don't think that there's a universal thing.
But like, how can you be atheist? Okay, look, I'm gonna use the word being because, like, the conscious being that is aware of everything, okay, and everything happens because of it.
But nothing happens because there's no time.
Everything that looks like, all the things that look like they happen to us, even though they're not actually happening in time, are like because
there's no possible change of state of affairs if there's no time. There's no way that it could transition from being single to having alters, right? There's no time in which that could happen. That transition could happen.
I'm not sure about how space-time and all that works. Like, I'm not the best person to ask about that.
Well,
but like right now, like if I
generally speaking, it seems like if you
say-
have a transition, then you have some sort of temporal ordering. I don't know how things happen. Otherwise,
I can't like, I don't really like, I can't really imagine that. Like, I didn't study all that yet. Like space-time and how that works.
All right.
Well,
Well,
like you can agree that there's something.
go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah, because like you can agree that like there's something like something can be outside of space-time.
I don't think so.
Like you think there's nothing outside of space-time?
I think that there can perhaps be something more fundamental than space-time from which space-time emerges, but such a thing would never couldn't change. It couldn't do anything. Nothing could ever happen to it.
Wait, so do you believe that everything like do you live in like a quantum field?
Sure.
And is that inside space-time or is that outside?
The way that we describe quantum fields are kind of living on top of space-time, so they like exist within it.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, that's all I came. I just came to prove idealism because I think universal consciousness is God. Like that's
Okay.
what that's what I. Yeah.
Even if I was an idealist, a la Alex, I still wouldn't be a theist. But thanks for being here, user. All right, I have to end the live. He was on for way too long. I've ran way over, and I have to bring my wife to an appointment soon. And I need to eat lunch and drink some coffee. So let's read some super chats and then we'll call it a day, shall we? From Relax with Russell with the $5, Dr. Blitz, I'm just some guy, and what do I know? But maybe you shouldn't use the example of, I could be wrong that my wife loves me. No, I think that she gets it. She gets it. Like, I could, like, look, like, she could have been a paid actor. I mean, like, damn, she's definitely hot enough to have been a paid actor by my mom because my mom thought I was going to be lonely forever or something. Like, I definitely climbed the ladder there. So maybe she is a paid actor this whole time. From Think3 Official with the $10, can you have a Noether symmetry for a conservation of acceleration law in a hypothetical universe? I think you could. I was thinking about this a little bit the other day when I made that video. I haven't worked out the details, but if you have an action that's just like the if you have an action that just goes as like the second time derivative of the position squared for its kinetic term, then you would have another symmetry. There'd still be translation invariance, and you would just end up with a different definition of momentum. From Inky Waste with the $5, do you plan on doing more collabs? If so, with whom? I've been trying to donate for a while, and now it finally. Well, cool. I'm glad that you've been trying to donate. There are a few people that I do collabs with. I have a show that I do every Sunday, which is the Unapologetic show that I do with a few friends. I'm also going to be on the line more frequently going forward. I'll be hosting the line a few shows on. I'll be hosting a Skept Talk probably once or twice a month, and so that'll be fun. And you know, if Javon wants to have me on, I'm happy to go on with Javon. You know, I'm just spreading my wings, if you will. All right, let us just double check, make sure that I didn't miss any of these cash apps or things of that nature. We got a $2 cash app from Robert, which is very much appreciated, and a $15 cash app from Grimlock, telling me to hydrate. And I just want to double check that I didn't miss anything else. Somebody said that Ian is probably live, which is probably true. In fact, no, Ian is not live, surprisingly. So that's okay. We won't go raid somebody. But if you haven't yet, make sure to join the Discord server. If you are already a member, if you're a paying member, some kind of subscribing member, like $5 a month or whatever, you can go join the Discord server and then get you can sync up Discord with whatever app you're using, and then you can get access to the members only live chat, or the members only chat, and the members only debate notes. So consider doing that, and if you haven't, I will be sad. Anyway, I'm going to go make myself some coffee. I'm going to go eat some lunch, and I'm going to go take my wife to a doctor's appointment, and then I will see you guys on Monday, or on